Present.
Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, Post 1 at Large. Councilmember Matt Westmoreland, Post 2 at Large.
Here.
Councilmember Ishay Collins, Post 3 at Large.
Present.
Councilmember Jason H. Winston, District 1.
Here.
Councilmember Aria Faroki, District 2. Councilmember Byron D. Amos, District 3. Councilmember Jason Dozer, District 4.
Here.
Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari, District 5.
Here.
Councilmember Alex Wan, District 6. Councilmember Howard Shook, District 7. Councilmember Mary Norwood, District 8. Councilmember Dustin Hillis, District 9. Councilmember Andrea Olboon, District 10.
Present.
Councilmember Marcy Collier Overstreet, District 11. Councilmember Antonio Lewis, District 12. Mr. President, we do have a quorum of members present.
Thank you. Councilmember Hillis has joined us as well. Next, we'll move to the adoption of the agenda. I would make one note that the third proclamation is actually in recognition of Black Midwives Day. That was the one in the printed agenda was a mistake. Otherwise, are there any corrections or updates to the agenda? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adopt. But there's a motion by Councilmember Wan. There's a motion by Councilmember Wan, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt the agenda? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to adopt the agenda.
12 yeas, 0 nays.
12 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to adopt the agenda carries. Next, we'll move to our invocation. We don't have a guest speaker today, so we will take a moment of silence, but I would ask if there are any remembrances that folks would have. Councilmember Boone.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to offer condolences on behalf of this body to Ambassador Andrew Young and his entire family for the loss of Lisa Young Austin, who was a daughter of the Civil Rights Movement, a member of First Congregational Church, a vibrant spirit in the city of Atlanta and beyond. Please keep Ambassador Young, Mrs. Carolyn Young, and that entire family in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask everyone to keep the friends, family, and fans of Dean Retzlaff, probably better known to all of y'all as Dennis Dean, the caterer that was very active in nonprofit sector in terms of sponsorships and providing events to help support them. So let's please keep them in our thoughts.
Thank you. Any others? Councilmember Bakhtiari.
Not anyone that's passed, but we have city employees that have a number of sick parents. Mr. Lamar Parks, whose mother is in the hospital right now and struggling, as well as Ms. Donna, whose mother has broken her back 3 different times and is currently in the hospital. So if we can please keep both of them and their families in our prayers.
Thank you. Councilmember Boone.
Mr. President, please keep the family of Mrs. Olivia Parks Woods, who was the clerk in this body for nearly 26 years. As my colleague mentioned, Lamar Parks is a valued member of our staff. Miss Olivia Parks Woods is struggling at this moment. Please keep her and her entire family in your prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? For these and for those left unsaid, would you please join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, I'd like to invite Councilmember Westmoreland forward and all of those who are here to honor Hope Atlanta's 125 years of service to please join us up on the dais. Come on up.
indeed. All right, good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to those who are joining us today to honor Hope Atlanta's 125th anniversary. Hope Atlanta's story began back in 1900 in response to a growing number of unsheltered women and children in the city. 9 Atlanta churches came together to form something called the Atlanta Women's Missionary Association. Years later, that organization changed its name to Travelers Aid, and in the 1920s was one of the first nonprofits in Atlanta to integrate its staff. Travelers Aid established an office of support at the airport back in 1953, which is support services that this organization still provides 72 years later. In the 1980s and 1990s, Travelers Aid focus shifted a bit in response to the HIV and AIDS crisis. And then it took an outsized role after Hurricane Katrina in helping reunite displaced families who had moved here to Atlanta seeking refuge. 16 years ago, this organization rebranded as Hope Atlanta, focusing on both the causes of homelessness as well as aiding unsheltered residents. And last year, they became a very visible partner to this city in our rapid rehousing effort. For those of you who have been to the Melody or to 729 Bonaventure, it is Hope Atlanta staff who is providing support to our unsheltered residents as we aim to build 700 units of rapid rehousing all across Atlanta. And it is for that they are here today, so that on behalf of this body, we can present this proclamation from the members of the Atlanta City Council on behalf of the citizens of Atlanta who do hereby recognize the immeasurable contributions this vital community organization has played by declaring March 17th, 2025 as Hope Atlanta Day in the city of Atlanta in honor of your 125 years of transformative service. Congratulations. I will look briefly at my colleagues to see if anyone wants to make a comment. Looks like Councilmember Bakhtiari is going to lead us off.
Don't worry, I'll try to be quick. Which is, hard for a politician to say. I have loved Hope Atlanta for a very long time. As somebody who has worked in direct service and also experienced homelessness and knows what women face on streets, the work you do is extraordinary. I was lucky enough to work with Hope Atlanta and see the work y'all did during COVID. The extraordinary work you did where we actually led the nation in a lot of the rehousing efforts, and that's due in large part to you all. Homelessness is a nationwide issue and one that is not going away. So we are going to be spending millions, if not billions of dollars as a country in the foreseeable future. And we cannot turn away from this work. We do not have a choice. And we shouldn't have a choice because people that are in shelter are human beings as well. We have not only the housing efforts to do, but changing culture around this because people on the streets are not asking to be on the streets. People on the streets did not fail in life. Systems failed them. We have a lot of work to do, and I'm proud to say that by the end of my first term, our district will have had 5 supportive housing buildings built in my district alone. And I'm going to do everything I can to continue to uplift your mission along with my colleagues. And I'm just so grateful for the work you all do because it's not easy. And for those who don't know, competitive wages for case managers and people that work in this field starts at $50,000. That's nothing. That's considered competitive wages. My hope is that our city, and I do believe Atlanta, along with Hope Atlanta and other continuum of care agencies, will lead this country in ending homelessness and set a new standard here. I believe that with all my heart. So I just want to thank y'all for your extraordinary work. I adore you. This is not easy, and I can't think of people that are more critical to our city at this time. Thank y'all so much.
All right, next up, I want to welcome back to the building. We used to call him Commissioner, but today I'm going to call him Board Chair, Rocky Atkins, to say a few words.
Thanks, Matt. As Matt mentioned, I'm Board Chair for Hope Atlanta. I have actually been in this room before. It's been a few years. It is really lovely to see some old friends and familiar faces here. I just wanted to say on behalf of the board how grateful we are to members of the Atlanta City Council, to Mayor Andre Dickens, and to the mayor's team for this recognition and for their ongoing support of Hope Atlanta. I will say it's been a privilege to serve on Hope's board for just over 8 years now. And I've done that through 3 different city administrations. And I will tell you the commitment and leadership shown by this administration to issues dealing with homelessness and affordable housing in this city are unmatched, and they are an inspiration. We are very grateful for the partnership with the city, and we are looking forward to partnering for years to come. And I would like to turn the microphone over to our CEO.
Thank you, Rocky. Good afternoon. I want to echo Rocky's comments on behalf of the over 6,000 clients that we serve in the annual basis. We're very grateful for this recognition. Very amazed about the intentionality and the focus that the City of Atlanta City Council has put around homelessness and affordable housing and mental health. More than ever, this is much needed. Hope Atlanta receives over 3,000 inquiries every month about individuals that we call situational homelessness. They're not homeless yet. And so I do appreciate the support and the partnership. I also want to recognize the village. They have been around Hope Atlanta for 125 years. We're still here because of all of you, the community, our community partners, our board of directors, our advisory council, and my team who put out their hearts. And they work really hard around the clock to ensure that homelessness is something that we can eliminate or is non-recurrent. So really, really thank you for this recognition.
All right, we're going to bunch up a little bit and move forward, and then take a picture with this gentleman right here. Yeah.
Next, I'd like to invite Councilmember Michael Julian Bond and all of those who are here for the recognition of Morehouse School of Medicine's 50th anniversary to please come forward and join us up on the dais.
Are you able to do this as well?
I'll try.
Thank you.
No, this is like the Price is Right. Come on down. Come on down. No, we got plenty of room. Just squinch in. Squinch in. Plenty of space. Well, I'd like to say good afternoon to everyone. Good afternoon. It is really a pleasure for me to be here today to honor the Morehouse School of Medicine. It's personal for me, and I had hoped that former Representative Calvin Smyrie would have been here as well, because when the medical school was first formed, he carried the legislation in the House, and my father carried the legislation in the Senate to aid in the creation of the school. And so my grandmother's house, which still exists there, that apartment building right across from Spelman's parking lot, Dr. Gloucester used to park at my grandmother. We rented him a space at my grandmother's house, and so we often heard around the table about the formation of the school, which has done magnificent work over the last 50 years. And so it is really great for me, but it's great for not just the Atlanta community, but for our country to have the Morehouse School of Medicine in our community. Let's give them a big round of applause. You know, the history of Morehouse College and the creation of doctors actually goes back probably almost another, at least another 40 years before the establishment of the School of Medicine. We've all heard of the novel and film Gone with the Wind, but it was the author of that book that gave money to Dr. Benjamin E. Mays at Morehouse to fund student scholarships, along with other philanthropists, both black and white, to send Morehouse College students, then to Meharry, for the creation of doctors in the African American community. And so there's a long, rich legacy there. And so we thought it not robbery to have this tremendous institution to be honored here in our chamber for their great contributions to our city. I will read the proclamation, and then we will have comments from my colleague, Jason. Where did he go? Oh, you're back here. And any other members of the City Council who are present. And so we're joined here by our illustrious dean. And so the proclamation reads as follows: in recognition of the Morehouse School of Medicine's 50th anniversary, whereas Dr. Lewis Brown, an internal medicine physician in Atlanta, brought the idea for a new medical school to the presidents of the Atlanta University Center institutions in 1969, whereas the Josiah Macy Jr. Foundation supported the feasibility study to investigate the idea of a new medical school, and then Morehouse College president, Dr. Hugh M. Gloucester, expressed interest in starting a medical school at the college. And whereas in 1975, Morehouse College recruited Dr. Lewis W. Sullivan, a Morehouse graduate, to serve as the first president and academic dean of the medical education program at Morehouse College, with the vision to diversify the healthcare workforce and provide primary health care in underserved rural and urban communities. And whereas Morehouse School of Medicine began at a single trailer on the campus of Morehouse College in the summer of 1978, with an inaugural class of just 24 students in a 2-year medical sciences program with the ability to transfer to 4-year institutions to complete their education. And whereas the medical school was incorporated in Georgia in 1980, officially became an independent institution in 1981, and established a 4-year medical school in 1985 as the Morehouse School of Medicine. And whereas 3,283 students, including 1,867 physicians, have graduated from the Morehouse School of Medicine, and approximately 60% of the MD graduates who have completed residency are practicing both in Atlanta and across Georgia and the nation. And whereas the medical school, the Morehouse School of Medicine, has dramatically expanded the physical footprint academic programs, including research initiatives and physician class sizes under the leadership of its first and only woman president and CEO, Dr. Valerie Montgomery Rice. And whereas it is abundantly proper and fitting that the accomplishments and the distinguished Atlanta institution be appropriately recognized on this occasion on its 50th anniversary. Now, therefore, we, the members of the Atlanta City Council, on behalf of the citizens of the city of Atlanta, hereby proclaim this day, March 17th, 2025, as the Morehouse School of Medicine Day in our fair city. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and have caused the seal of the city of Atlanta to be hereunto affixed. Congratulations, Morehouse School of Medicine. Quick one. All right, but wait, there's more. Like to ask, oh, we have a video. So if we turn our eyes to the monitors, we have a brief video for everyone.
95% of our MD students match to their residency training program, and 88% receive the specialty of their first choice. That equals success.
From its humble beginnings to international acclaim, Morehouse School of Medicine has evolved into a pivotal institution focused on addressing disparities in healthcare while advancing medical education with a spotlight on underserved communities. In 1969, Atlanta internist Dr. Lewis Brown shared the idea with Morehouse College President Dr. Hugh Morris Gloster and other presidents from each of the schools within the Atlanta University Center. It didn't take long for the concept to gain momentum. A feasibility study funded by the Josiah Macy Jr. Foundation confirmed the viability for the venture. Dr. Lewis Sullivan was selected to take the reins as president and dean. A few years later, in 1978, one single trailer on the campus of Morehouse College would house the school of 24 students in its two-year medical sciences program. Former Georgia State Representative Calvin Smyrie helped secure funding for the school.
I got the call from Dr. Sullivan that they would like for me to serve on the board, and we were instrumental in getting the first $1 million from the state of Georgia to come to the Morehouse School of Medicine. We had to have a good plan because it's a private institution and it was getting public funds.
The school was incorporated in 1980, becoming an independent institution in 1981, and officially establishing the four-year medical school in 1985. And the rest, as they say, is history.
I think our secret sauce is this, is that we actually invest in our students, one student at a time.
Dr. Montgomery Rice believes a good doctor-patient relationship starts with the doctor's ability to understand someone else's story and relate to their challenges, which she says can be turned into opportunities.
And they come to a place like Morehouse School of Medicine, who equips them with the knowledge and the skills and the competency and the compassion to be able to do that in a way that's meaningful and meets people where they are.
Will the candidates for the Master of Science in Physician Studies degree please rise? When I think about Lou Sullivan and Hugh Gloster, when they thought about the concept of a Morehouse School of Medicine and the impact it could make, I mean, and the mission that was focused on all the way back 50 years ago, that mission remains today. It is as vibrant as ever, and we're delivering on that mission. As these students come here with a dream, our responsibility is to help fulfill that dream.
Kiana Murray is a fourth-year medical student at Morehouse School of Medicine.
The amount of support and the teaching and the tutoring that I got here was just insurmountable. Like, the words cannot just describe. And I just felt so well supported here. My MCAT score jumped 15 points, and I had a 4.0 throughout the entire program. And it was home. It was my home away from home.
We get to measure our impact by the number of students who walk across that stage In December now we have a graduation, and in May we have a graduation because we've gotten that big. And we get to see it now in the over 57 counties that we have a Morehouse School of Medicine graduate. Or we get to see it in now 94% of the counties. We touch someone. We have someone who graduates from a high school who will apply to one of our 16-degree granting programs. So we know we are delivering on the return on investment. Our 50th anniversary says that they see us. And they see the value that we are adding to the city of Atlanta. And we are a core component, I think, of the growth and the potential of this city for it to be able to allow every citizen to reach their optimal level of health.
Councilmember Dozier.
Thank you, Councilmember Bond. I'm gonna keep my remarks brief. I just want to say, representing District 4 in Atlanta City Council, I am immensely proud to represent the Morehouse School of Medicine on this body. I know today is St. Patrick's Day and a lot of folks are wearing their green today, but I wanted to make sure I wear my Morehouse School of Medicine blue to showcase how proud I am to support y'all and to work with y'all to make sure that we can continue this partnership with the city to support positive health outcomes for communities not only across the city, but especially in my district. Even though I've only been on this body for 3 years, I've known the work of the Morehouse School of Medicine for a very long time. I live in the Mechanicsville community, which is just south of downtown Atlanta. And unfortunately, my home neighborhood has some of the worst health outcomes in this city. When you think about I-75 and 85 and I-20 all bordering our neighborhood, we have high rates of children's asthma. When you think about issues we've been experiencing around gun violence, we have some larger public health challenges that we've been working through to try to solve. But every step of the way, Morehouse School of Medicine has been there in our community, working with our schools, working with the city at our neighborhood center, working with our community members to make sure that they have a better positive health outcome and can continue to call Atlanta home for generations. And so I just want to say thank y'all for being such an amazing community partner. I've enjoyed seeing y'all's work and working with y'all to expand that work, and I look forward to continuing to do so. But I appreciate everything y'all done for us in this city, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Boone.
Thank you, Mr. Bond. Thank you for honoring Morehouse School of Medicine. Thank you, Morehouse School of Medicine, for saving lives, especially those lives in Southwest Atlanta and Northwest Atlanta and throughout this region. We love you. We appreciate you. I would like to recognize Dr. James F. Denzler, a member, a pioneer in Southwest Atlanta, a living legend, the first African-American pediatric surgeon in the United States of America, who is here with us today. Dr. Denzler was honored by the city of Atlanta in March of 2023. He is accompanied by his wife, Mabel Denzler, a community leader and servant in the Flamingo Audubon Forest area. Thank you all.
Are there any other comments? Oh, Ms. Councilmember Lewis.
As a HBCU graduate, I'm always looking at ways to help HBCUs grow. And 1 year ago, in 2024, I had the opportunity to read a study about essential hospitals training the next generation of black medical doctors. And the Black History Month talked about Americans' essential hospitals, and they're proudly spotlighting the 4 essential health systems that are dedicated to helping us, right? And that's Howard University. They have Howard University Hospital. Then you got McCary Medical College. They go to Nashville General Hospital. Then you got Morehouse School of Medicine at Grady Memorial Hospital, right? And Charles Drew at the Los Amigos National Rehabilitation Center. While doing that, I also looked across the country to see at other medical schools to see if they had their name on hospitals. And to see Emory, to then go live in Philadelphia, to see Drexel, to see Temple, to see Thomas Jefferson University Hospital, to understand that they were intentional with the schools being able to train not only their students, but then being able to practice and take care of folks. To understand that Grady is the place that Morehouse is practicing, but we have 2 hospitals that just closed in Atlanta alone. And I'm a Grady baby, right? And so part of the reason that Grady's doing so well with black people is because we got Morehouse doctors in there touching on us when we born. The city of Atlanta, the state of Georgia, the county of Fulton, we have to be looking across the country and seeing what other people are doing for them. And I'm a praying man, right? And my grandma always told me, tell God, don't get jealous. She said, I see what you're doing for other people, right? And so as a city that they just closed 2 hospitals in, and we see what they're doing for other people, I know Morehouse has the appetite for it, right? I'm on Cleveland Avenue, so I got South Fulton Hospital that just closed their doors on us. It just left us. And when you live downtown on Boulevard, it just left us. And so if there's any kind of appetite, I'm on board. I'm on board. I think that the state, the city, the counties, all of them need to get on board with making sure that Morehouse School of Medicine puts their name on these buildings, and they got their students in there taking care of us as well. And they clapping. These are the experts. They're clapping because they know what that would do for us. When we talk about asthma, we talk about sickle cell, we talk about HIV and AIDS, right? This is gonna fix it. Let's put the pressure on them. This is gonna fix it. They're gonna recruit the students, and more students will come if we give them a hospital. They're already packed right now, but more students will come if we give them a hospital. So I truly appreciate your service to our city. I truly appreciate what you're doing for the nation and the world, because we know Atlanta influences everything. We run this world, right? And y'all gonna help us grow if we invest in you all. So thank you for your investment. I can't wait until I just put the call out there, right? And I'm full on board. I'm a fighter. I'm full on board. I'll fight for you if you're a little nervous, right? So you can put me in front of you if you need somebody to take a few punches. But we have to fight for them. And so that's where I'm at. Thank you again. And Miss Adrienne Serrano, she's here right now. And I want to mention this. This is my 4th year on council. For the past 3 years, I've been going to the Morehouse School of Medicine Health Resource Fair, right? Do it once a year. And the first year I showed up on a whim because she invited me. The second year I showed up, they let me speak a little bit. Last year, they actually put me on the program. You know what I did at the end of that? I asked them to come to Atlanta Technical College or Atlanta Medical College, Metropolitan State College, because I want that resource right here in my area. I know what y'all are doing, so I truly appreciate y'all, and I'm with you. And call your state rep, call your county commissioner, tell them y'all to do the work. Tell them to invest in you. Tell them to give you what they gave the other folks, right? And watch what you do. You don't see what they did for other people. Thank you, and let's keep going.
Now we'll hear from Dean Tindall.
Thank you.
Come on up.
We are small, but we're mighty, and we're powerful. So I want to say thank you, first of all, President Shipman and the entire Atlanta City Council. We are grateful for this incredible honor. And I want to thank you for recognizing the contributions that Morehouse School of Medicine has made in diversifying the healthcare workforce and serving underrepresented populations and reducing health disparities. Councilmember Bond, it's not too long ago when you appeared at a certain annual engagement we have locally. And it was Councilmember Bond, Councilmember Dozier, Lewis, Councilmember Collins, all participated in our annual community engagement day at the Antioch Urban Ministries, where Morehouse School of Medicine provided free health screenings and information to citizens of Atlanta and the surrounding metro area. And when Councilmember Bond learned that Morehouse School of Medicine was about to celebrate 50 years He told us that he wanted to do something special for the institution. And that's why we're here today. So I want to say thank you. Morehouse School of Medicine is a proud member of the Atlanta University Center. And as you've heard with Dr. Lewis C. Brown, we had a vision to start a medical school. And the idea went straight to then President Hugh Gloucester. And with Dr. Sullivan, we began a School of Medicine. And you heard a class of 24 in 1978. And today, we support over 1,000 students in our campus, 16 degree programs, 17 research institutes, making impact not just in the city of Atlanta and South Fulton County and the state of Georgia, but all over the nation. And you heard walking history right here with Dr. James Densler, the first African-American pediatric surgeon in the country and a professor at Morehouse School of Medicine. Thank you for always being here and not forgetting where you have always been. There's no place so important than Morehouse School of Medicine when we think about the mission of health equity. There's no place more important than our position here in Southwest Atlanta. There's no place more important than the work that we actually do to serve our community and to support everyone in our own quest to actually achieve health equity, but more importantly, today, to achieve health justice. This is a wonderful day, and I want to thank you all again for being here. Morehouse School of Medicine started with humble beginnings, but we're in a place today where we're making history, and we will continue to make history. So again, thank you so much for the honor and for being here. And thank you to every one of our members of the Morehouse School of Medicine community for participating in today's proclamation. Thank you. So gather up closer.
No, hold on. Did you get it? I just saw you pick your camera up. Yeah, wait. Okay, we're getting to move to take our large shop. Hold on. I want people to know who's here. So everyone who's a part of the staff at the Morehouse School of Medicine, please raise your hand really quickly. Okay. All those who are doctors, please raise your hand quickly. Physicians. All those who are medical professionals, please raise your hands quickly. Are there any graduates here from the school? Help them with their financial aid. That was a joke. So,
And we have students here, actually.
oh, and how many students are here today? Well, okay. All right, so we'll move in front of this podium to take our photo. And doctor and Mrs. Dressler, y'all come up front. You hold that.
And if there are any other members, please come to the front.
Yeah, please come to the front. Anyone else associated with the school or supporter?
My daughter. Oh, she's right there.
Next, I'd like to invite Councilmember Bakhtiari forward and all of those who are here to honor Black Midwives Day to join us up on the dais.
Stay right there. Stay right there. You know she has her famous. You know I am. We're gonna be all over Facebook. That part. I told her we're so proud of you. Thank you. Make sure you so I can see the pictures. I am. Even if it's not with you, you might know somebody. Okay.
Can I get you with that too? You want to get in? Yeah. Right, thank you. Great. You gotta send those over.
Hold on. I need that picture.
Thank you all. I'm going to wait till it quiets down a little bit so we can start this proclamation process. Thank you. Today, this proclamation is in recognition of Black Midwives Day. That does deserve a lot of applause. And Georgia being ranked in top 10 states for hospital shutdowns. We've had 3 or 4 this past year. Since I've taken office 3 years ago, thanks to nonprofits, alleged nonprofits like Wellstar. I'm gonna be shady. I have to point out that Black midwifery is not something new. This is something that's been happening for centuries. Black women have led the way in this. When I was lobbying for Planned Parenthood against HB 481, for those of you who don't know what that is, it was our abortion ban in Georgia, 6-week abortion ban. That same year, a group of non-Black midwives came to try to license midwifery, to add, essentially to add obstacles in place. These women behind me have been leading the way in this field for as long as I've been working in these causes. The purpose of this, and I have to thank you all, because the number of lives that you have saved in this state and beyond, in a state where we are second highest for maternal mortality. Alabama beat us out for that. Louisiana beat us out for that. But we are number 2 in the country for maternal mortality now, and it is safer for a woman to give birth in the Middle East than it is here. And if you make that Black woman, that number and maternal mortality rates go up even higher. So I am honored that you all asked me to do this. I'm going to give you an opportunity to speak. Perhaps the individual that's been the longest practicing midwife and the founder. But I want to give you all the opportunity because, in my eyes, you're some of the biggest heroes of the state. So please.
Good afternoon. There we go. So I am honored to be standing here before you all and with my sister midwives here. As it was stated, midwifery is not a new profession. It's been around since the very beginning of time. And some of you all, just by looking at you, I'm sure that maybe your grandmothers or your great-grandmothers had their babies at home, or perhaps they were midwives themselves. And over the decades, they have tried to extinguish midwives, but we're here. And we've always been here, and midwives are going to continue to be here. Georgia does rank second or first, depending on which year, highest in maternal mortality. And more families are choosing to have their babies at homes or at birthing centers with midwives who are going to invest the time in caring for them. We are the ones that help to bring down the infant mortality and the maternal mortality rates. And we just need to recognize that, we need everybody to recognize in this state that there is a place for home birth. There is a place for midwives. Integrating midwifery into the healthcare system is a must. It's been proven to work in other countries around the world, and incorporating traditional home birth midwives into the maternal healthcare system, the landscape here in Georgia is a must. I am the longest lasting. I've been delivering babies at home since, well, not since, but for 45 years now. This month made my 45th year. And during COVID, the home birth rate increased even more. We were on demand beyond measure. And we're not quite as busy as we were then. It has simmered. But every midwife that I know is carrying a healthy practice, and that's because people are choosing to have their babies at home. A lot of them feel safer having their babies at home. And so the demand is there, and there is a bill that is in the Capitol right now that we are pushing for, and it's House Bill 520, and it's published. So when you get a chance, pull it up online and read it. And bring back that DNA memory in yourselves and realize that midwives, many families stand on the shoulders of midwives, especially during the post-slavery and during Jim Crow and during the civil rights movements. And a lot of you all may not be here if it wasn't for a granny midwife whose shoulders I stand on, as well as the rest of my sister midwives here. And so I want to thank the National Black Midwives Alliance, the Black Feminist Future for putting us here on this platform to be able to present to you. Thank you.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Jamara Amani, and I am a Florida licensed midwife. However, I began my midwife training here in the state of Georgia with Mama Saran, who just spoke. I was really blessed to be able to sit at her feet and to learn from a midwife who's been practicing longer than I've been alive. It was an honor to get her wisdom, to learn from the grand midwives, to learn from the traditional midwives, how we care for families, how we honor the ancestors who came before us, how we take care of the next generation and make sure that we are protecting the health of mothers and babies and birthing people. That is what I learned here in Georgia. However, because of the restrictive laws around midwifery here in the state of Georgia, I had to go to Florida to finish my midwifery training. And there are many who share a similar story. And so as Mama Saran said, we need to make sure that midwives can practice legally in this state and in every state in the United States, because our maternal health, our perinatal healthcare system is abysmal. We are ranking towards the bottom in terms of nations on par with the United States, and that has a lot to do with the fact that midwives have been pushed out of the system. And so Black Midwives Day was a holiday that I founded a few years ago. This is our third annual Black Midwives Day that we just celebrated on March 14th. And we founded this holiday in order to honor the contributions of Black midwives, to elevate the consumer demand for Black midwives and for home birth and access to more natural, holistic care options, and also to address the perinatal health crisis that is plaguing our communities and disproportionately impacting Black birthing people. We also founded Black Midwives Day to build our base of supporters. So all of you right here, right now, under the sound of my voice, are now supporters of Black Midwives Day. So thank you for joining the fight, because we need all of us. So if you are in support of ending the perinatal health crisis in the United States, just raise your hand real quick. Do you support ending the perinatal health crisis? Thank you. And we need all of us to do that, and midwives are going to be central to the solutions. We need to make sure that midwives can practice legally to the full scope of their training, whether they are home birth traditional midwives, whether they are certified professional midwives, whether they are certified nurse midwives, whatever pathway they come from, they need to be able to access full training and be able to have the legal status to operate freely in their communities. They also need funding. There are student midwives here. Student midwives, put your hands up. Student midwives need scholarships. They need funding, they need support to be able to finish school, to be able to find a preceptor, to be able to attend births and do their clinical training so that they can become that next generation of midwives. So I'm calling on all of us to stand up for families, to stand up for midwives, and to do whatever we can to build the movement for birth justice and for Black midwifery so that we can end this maternal health crisis and build a brighter future for Black families and all families. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paris Hatcher, and I am with my colleague, Yemi Kambahi. Would you like to join me? We work at Black Feminist Future, a national organization headquartered here in Atlanta. And today I am wearing flowers because every day that we can honor Black midwives and give them their flowers, we should. We know, I think, more of us about the work, or not the work, but the number of around infant and maternal mortality. But too many of us do not know about the life-saving work of Black midwives. They are tradition keepers, culture bearers, and life savers. So I am really excited to partner with Southern Birth Justice Network and the National Black Midwives Alliance to ensure that March 14th in the city of Atlanta is known as Black Midwives Day. And because we are headquartered here in the city of Atlanta, to keep moving this city and the state of Georgia to ensure that there are resources, not just for the day, but for student midwives, that it actually requires resources to change the numbers and the statistics that we are seeing. So again, I'm really proud that Black Feminist Future has worked in partnership to ensure March 14th is Black Midwives Day, and much more excited to make sure that we get resources into the hands of Black midwives, current and budding Black midwives, to ensure that the tradition and the culture continues. Yemi, would you like to add anything?
Thank you all. I just want to honor all of the grand midwives and granny midwives who are here with us in spirit, whose shoulders that our current midwives stand on, and who have done so much to bring us here. Black midwifery is not going anywhere, and like Jamara said, it's not just up to Black midwives to keep that tradition alive. It's up to all community members. So I hope that you all feel empowered by this, feel like you got some knowledge, and are ready to join us in the fight to end the horrible conditions that birthing people are facing in this city and in this state. So thank you all so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Haiti Salas. I am the founder of Comadres Group, LLC. It started off as doula services and has now pivoted into assisting midwives. For the last 5 years, I have had the privilege of being welcomed into home births. And as a birth assistant and attendant, it has been such a great honor to continue the traditions of many Black, Indigenous, Hispanic people who have walked these halls, these streets, these mountains, and into these homes. I stand with my sisters, my mothers, my grandmothers behind me, and many more in front of me. And I am so, so grateful to have this platform right now to bring attention to the fact that we are here to celebrate midwives and all the hard work that they have done and all the things that they have encountered, obstacle after obstacle, to stand in the way of helping, assisting, and supporting mothers bringing life into this world. Let's take a breath for that. We're bringing life into this world, and we're facing obstacles by institutions, by facilities, and by people who have sworn to protect and serve in healthcare. Today, I stand very, very proud and very, very loud in saying that midwives have been the maternal crisis managers. We have been the managers. And we are assisting these mommies and our families. Some of our families are professionals, educated, and they are still being discriminated against. This is the time to come together and to continue moving forward in positivity. Our numbers speak volumes. Our babies cry out loud from the very moment they are welcomed into this world by either a midwife's hands or their very own father's hands. That's a privilege that should be honored continuously. Birth is all about evolution, and maternal care needs to be standing and uplifted with the fact that we will continue to be here making changes each and every time we need to. We will come up to this Capitol and make whatever amendments we need to, because that is our right. That is our indigenous right as birth women. Midwives are the resource. We have the great reputation, and we are the resolution. Thank you so much.
Greetings. My name is Dr. Pandora Hartman, proud certified nurse midwife of 30 years. I stand here honoring the collaboration that this represents as I look around this room. Councilwoman Overstreet, I was that midwife with your husband who started that practice at Atlanta Medical Center. We did a lot of good in this city. When we talk about collaboration, standing here with our colleagues, what a day. Morehouse School of Medicine, guess what they're doing next year? Starting a nurse midwifery program in Georgia. Yeah, here with their dean and their director of clinical strategies, and also our Georgia affiliate of the American College of Nurse Midwives. Because yes, we stand with our sisters in home birth. You've heard the talk about midwifery for the continuum of care. Because many of our Black, Indigenous, and immigrant mothers, such as myself, we're there taking care of them in the hospitals as well. We're working on seamless transfer protocols that have definitely impacted and continue to impact care here in the city and in rural Georgia. And as I represented the Americas on the international stage, know the world is watching. The world is watching Georgia. I was in Switzerland at a WHO meeting 2 weeks ago, and what was the topic? Georgia. Georgia law. Templating what's happening here. No, we're going to reach out to you as collaborators because each of you can do something to help, not just birth, but the sexual reproductive health care and rights that midwives take care of the world over. We are, like some of us, shadow workers. From home to hospital and beyond, midwifery is ancient as wisdom, but also as modern as time. Thank you for what I know will be your continued support.
Thank you all so much. I think something important to note is that Many of us don't realize that these individuals are going to increasingly be putting their safety on the line by doing this work in this political climate. They are heroes. We need to support them, the number of lives that they have saved. And not to mention that we're seeing an increasing issue in hospitals of women's birthing programs being taken from them, of them being cut open, of them having their babies ripped out of them without their consent, and how it is done. And it is increasingly safer for this to take place. And in an area where we have lost hospitals and doctors in rural communities, these are the people that are going to be saving lives and making sure that those babies are delivered safely and that those mothers don't die. So I am so honored that you all asked me to sponsor this. I'm honored that Paris and Yemi are here because they have taught me more than I could ever know. Paris also holds me accountable and she terrifies me in the best way. But thank y'all for being here for this holiday and for this day, because like I said, these women and this tradition that they've carried on has been going on for centuries, if not thousands of years. So all the progress we have is built upon their shoulders. And I'm so grateful for you all. And I'll go ahead and read the proclamation now. In recognition of Black Midwives Day, whereas the Atlanta City Council recognizes the essential contributions of Black midwives in improving maternal health outcomes, addressing disparities, and providing culturally congruent care to Black birthing people, and the Black Midwives Day campaign, founded in 2023 by the National Black Midwives Alliance, designates March 14th as a day of awareness, education, advocacy, community engagement to uplift the legacy and ongoing work of Black midwives. Black maternal health in the United States remains in crisis, with Black birthing people experiencing significantly higher rates of maternal morbidity and mortality, irrespective of income, education, or socioeconomic status. And Georgia counties face higher rates of maternity care deserts compared to the national average, where women of childbearing age do not have access to hospitals or birth centers offering maternity care or obstetric providers, and integrating midwives into the maternity care system has been shown to improve birth outcomes, reduce medical interventions, and decrease racial disparities in maternal and infant health. And Black midwives have historically provided holistic, community-centered care, yet have been systematically excluded from healthcare systems through restrictive policies and regulation. The Atlanta City Council affirms the importance of investing in Black midwifery, expanding access to midwifery education and training, and ensuring fair compensation and support for Black midwives. And the Atlanta City Council supports and recognizes the longstanding and invaluable contributions of Black midwives to maternal and infant health in the United States. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that we, the members of the Atlanta City Council, on behalf of the citizens of Atlanta, do hereby honor and celebrate today, March 14th, as Black Midwives Day in the city of Atlanta, Georgia. Here, take a photo.
Finally, today I'd like to ask Councilmember Andrea Boone to come forward, and all of those who are here for the recognition of Reverend Africa Mlady, spiritual leader and community advocate, to please join us here up on the dais.
Will those that are here to honor Reverend Africa Mlady and members of the St. Peter Missionary Baptist Church please come forward? Stand right here. Right here. Mother, stand right here. Today, we are joined with members of St. Peter Missionary Baptist Church, Reverend Sean Smith of New Horizon Baptist Church, and many family and friends. Today is a very special day for us, Reverend Mlady. You have been a distinguished leader in the city of Atlanta, and today we honor you. And now remarks, Reverend Eric Thomas, Senior Pastor of St. Peter Missionary Baptist Church.
Thank you so much to those that are gathered to the council today. I just want to take a moment to thank Councilwoman Boone for taking the time to acknowledge Reverend Mlady. Reverend Mlady, interesting enough, and I connected initially in ministry when I needed an extra alto at the church. And subsequent to that, she's become a force in our community that we serve at St. Peter, but also a force in other communities around Atlanta. At St. Peter, just initially, she began the clothing bank ministry, which clothed the unclothed, and that was something that continues today as a result of the seed that she planted some 15 years ago. As well, she's done fantastic work with our youth and the youth in the community, not just the youth of St. Peter, but the youth in the community. And finally, she has done yeoman's work in the area of HIV/AIDS prevention, education, and direction. And so we're grateful for the organization she's worked with in addition to St. Peter. Sister Love is one of the organizations. Now she works with Grady. But she has done a great work, and it's just a pleasure to be here to join in with honoring her for the community work we've done. Sometimes people think that ministry is in the church, but Reverend Mlady has showed us very clearly that ministry takes place outside of the church. And I think that is truly in the example that we see in the Bible with our Savior Jesus' work for the Lord takes place in the community. So I want to take a moment just to say thank you, Councilwoman Boone, and the City Council President Shipman, and all others for acknowledging and honoring Reverend Africa Mlady as a spiritual leader and a community advocate and activist on this day.
Remarks, Reverend Sean Smith, New Horizon Baptist Church, Senior Pastor, located in Council District 10. Reverend Sean Smith.
I find it with great joy to be standing here and celebrating with Reverend Mlady, who I think the hallmark of any true servant is their consistent availability, even in the most inconvenient of circumstances. And their first response is sure, and not maybe I'll think about it, maybe if I could move something. So anytime I've had to call on her, it has always been an enthusiastic yes. To have a heart for ministry is to have a heart for people, to understand that people, the only way we'll make it is to do it together. So she truly understands the complete meaning of what it means to be community. And we praise God for her influence, her consistent participation to improve the lives of everybody in Atlanta.
Evangelist Keela Jackson, Emmanuel Baptist Church.
Good afternoon. Now, if you don't know Minister Africa Mlady, you're missing out on someone special. She is definitely a powerhouse all by herself. She has done what most people aim to do, and to take ministry outside of the four walls of the church. And so through her Power Cafe ministry, she has created a space where faith meets real impact and where people don't just sit and listen, but they move boldly. And because of that, she's been able to bridge a gap between faith and health. And it has tremendously helped us, not just here in the city of Atlanta, but I know that it's going to take us abroad. And so we just are happy to be here to honor you and thank you for everything you do. She really creates that space. And so if you have not tapped into everything that she offers, I think it will just truly be a blessing to you as she is a blessing to all of us.
She is joined today by Mother Etheridge, and we would like to thank both of you all for what you all are doing on the campus of the Atlanta University Center. And now for the official proclamation. Whereas Reverend Africa Mlady is a distinguished spiritual leader, visionary, and community advocate whose profound commitment to ministry and service has transformed countless lives. And whereas a proud native of Augusta, Georgia, Reverend Mlady is the founder of the Power Cafe Ministry, an innovative spiritual empowerment initiative designed to awaken the divine potential within individuals, equipping them to walk boldly in their God-ordained purpose while inspiring others to do the same. And whereas Reverend Mlady's academic achievements, including a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and Master of Science in Business Administration from the University of Phoenix, exemplify her dedication to lifelong learning and the integration of strategic leadership with ministry and community development. And whereas, as the executive pastor of St. Peter Missionary Baptist Church, Reverend Mlady has demonstrated an unwavering commitment to service, spearheading initiatives such as the church's clothing closet, which provides essential resources to hundreds of individuals each month, ensuring that all members of the community have access to dignified clothing and support. And whereas Reverend Mlady has been a leading advocate for nearly a decade in the fight against HIV and AIDS, working diligently to bridge the gap between faith-based institutions and public health agencies, promoting education awareness and resource accessibility. And whereas the city of Atlanta is proud to pronounce today is Reverend Africa Mlady Day in the city of Atlanta, Georgia. And now, Reverend Africa Mlady.
Good afternoon. As Councilwoman Boone was reading, I thought to myself, who is she talking about? However, I'm thankful for all the opportunities that have been given to me by many of the people you see standing here and some that did not come up with me. I'm thankful to my mother and my grandmother who imparted into me the importance and as a mandate for me to serve the community. I thank God for the requirement He placed on my life for me to serve the community. I thank God for the call that He placed on my life to teach and share with the community, to uplift and empower the community. And so today, I'm grateful, I'm ecstatic, and I'm hopeful that as I move forward, the community will move forward. We can all move forward together to continue to make this community the best that it is and has always been. Thank you again, Councilwoman Boone. Thank you to all of you that have supported me and those that will continue to support me as we lift up the city of Atlanta.
Mother Etheridge, thank you for being here. And thank you for all you do, Mother Etheridge. And now we will take our official photo.
We'll now move to remarks of the public. I'd like to remind everyone that you will have 2 minutes unless you've been yielded time on the list from someone else. You can't yield time at the mic. And I will do my best to call everybody's name. Apologize in advance if I get any of them wrong. Please do correct the record. First up will be Henry Jordan. You have up to 2 minutes.
Give down to the Spirit of God, everyone that's here. And who is he will harm you if you be followers of that which is good. 1 Peter 3, chapter 13, verse. We should seek to obey his goodness because we need Christ's help. When a man ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. Proverbs 16, chapter 7, verse. Wisdom praises in the first person her own moral excellence. Apart from wisdom, to seek to obey Jesus appears to be a curse, but it is a blessing. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. Galatians 6, chapter 7, verse. Mocked, outwitted, outfoxed, to disobey God's command and then escape divine punishment would be to outwit God, thus making a mockery of him and his word. You seek to treat me like a dog, and Jesus says not so. James Griffith actions showed Jesus he don't desire to be my husband. To seek to make me his wife is to ask for death. Trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. Psalm 62 and 10. At least 5 nouns describe God's protection: rock, salvation, defense, glory, and refuge. Jesus, see you robbing me and your oppression against me. James Griffith and others, God warns you about evil actions. You know when you're doing evil. And God promised a curse against evil. Not just me, but his word of God said it. And God cannot lie.
Thank you. Next will be Brother Muhammad. Brother Muhammad. Next will be L.A. Pink.
Muhammad is here.
Oh, is he here? Okay. You want to go ahead and go? L.A. Pink, you'll have up to 8 minutes due to yielded time.
All righty. So, good evening, good morning, whatever it is at this point in particular time. I come here today on several different situations that's taking place here in Atlanta. I've got a call from Miss Mildred about the homeless downtown up under the bridge. One had passed away, and during her passing, the medical center, or the Grady Hospital, Grady ambulance, whoever, somebody from Grady, came to her, was supposed to be coming to her rescue, and was asking and questioning her about, was she on drugs? She's saying she can't breathe. She winds up passing away right out there. And by the time they got her to the hospital, she was deceased. So by the time her family got to the hospital, they're asking for her organs. Okay, organs. Yeah, her eyes. They were Pacific. So is this what's happening to our homeless? Are they not even making it out, making it home because their organs are being taken? I mean, I have no clue. Like, this was the first time she was on the phone and allowed me to hear them questioning her about her cousin's organs. And I was very disturbed, because if this is what's happening to our homeless, other than being crushed and other things happening, I mean, this is sickening. It's sad. It's very disturbing. Not only that, she brought, Ms. Margaret brought it to my attention as well, that and they have brought to my attention that some of the homeless had went to jail for cooking up under the bridge, the fire. But she, like Miss Marjorie said, they're out delivering cans to them, some organizations, giving cans. How are they supposed to warm this food up if they're being given cans if they don't start a fire? So then they start a fire, and they're taken to jail. 9 of them went to jail up under the bridge. 9. We already know what this jail is. We know what this jail have become. It doesn't need any more people, especially not anybody homeless. They will never make it out. You got people in there that don't get a bond that go to work every day. So we know when the homeless goes off in there, how are they going to get out? How are they going to survive? Because as we know, we have an incompetent sheriff along with guards, and one of the guards was stabbed in the throat. And they can say, oh, it was because they're understaffed. But from my understanding, the gentleman that stabbed him wasn't even supposed to be in the location he was at. He was supposed to be admitted on 3 North on a whole nother floor. But they had him mixed in the crowd with all of the other inmates, like Sheriff LaButte always do. So when you guys are making decisions about, should we give him this, should we give him that, until we get a new sheriff, until the community receives a new sheriff, nothing should be given to this jail, nothing should be given to this incompetent narcissist. And this came from his wife. Check these emails, these text messages if you want them. She said it out her mouth on social media. We dealing with a narcissist. So while we have people defending the mayor, defending the sheriff, defending these incompetent DAs, Funny Willis on Grey Goose, getting loose. She said it, we didn't. Spending unnecessary money. When we sit up here and we talk about, oh, this is a red state, y'all all blue. Y'all blue. Every Democrat that sit up here is blue. And you ain't did nothing. We got black mayors. We got black city council. We got black sheriffs. We got black DAs. We got black commissioners. And y'all got the nerves to talk about red. That's the blood coming for you that ain't doing your jobs. So for the ones that's checking in, getting a new job, y'all just came to the flow, don't get comfortable. Because if you have not and ain't coming here to do your job for the people, and you came here for friendships, your time is limited. Your time is limited. Because we're not coming for you. Like I said, I ain't here to make friends. I ain't here to make enemies. I am here about my Father's business. And I will never take a seat because he sent me to get yours. He sent me to get you about them seats. For those that ain't doing their job, I'm here for your seat. And I'm here to remove you, not take it. Because see, my job is in the street, so I can come for your seat. Time limited. Just know that. So y'all could be scared of Elon Musk if you want to. But I'ma help him. Sure am. I'ma help him come for every dollar y'all took from every elder's property been taken. Sure am. Because you're crooks. And if the shoe fit, wear it. If not, don't force your feet into it. So those know who I'm talking to that already got corruption, already in bed with the enemies. Those that ain't paying attention, but trust me, his names came up. We watching. We are watching every single thing you do. So for somebody to tell you that I'm gonna disappear, they're gonna have to kill me. and I don't mind dying. I was born to die for a time just as this. So for those that's friends with pulpit Jamal Bryant, y'all pulpit pastors that said we on the run. What he call us? Runaway slaves? That's what Harriet Tubman was. And we running towards y'all that have destroyed our communities, that have taken advantage over our elders, ignored our homeless. We coming for your J.O.B.
Thank you. Next will be Brother Muhammad. Due to yielded time, you have up to 8 minutes.
I know I was talking sometimes about her staff. It's okay. Like Sister L.A. Pink said, it's not so much you, Mr. Sherman, some of the staff that have been working in these offices know they ain't got nobody gonna hold them accountable. But every time I see you make an error, I'm gonna hold it, said Tana. We just talked about that. But why is that? It's something I'm saying. You don't like, you dark, anti-matter people. You don't like yourself when you look in the mirror. This brother's Thorpe. Thorpe is the original one. He lived 16,000 years in Egypt. His family was 36,000 in the Atlantis. Add the numbers. He wrote over 22,000, some say 36,000 books. And all the story about what you got in that Bible and all that other religion we studied from Saint to Buddha, we got it from this brother. We created the mystery systems. Where was the schools to teach you how to tap into that spirit and that knowledge of self, the soul? I am, that I am. The power, a spark, representing Nacharu, the name you call God. My soul honors your soul. I honor the place in you where the entire universe resides. I honor the light, the love, the truth, the beauty and peace within you. And sharing these things, we are united. We are the same. We are one. Namaste. Mr. Mayor, I want to let it be known, Mr. Mayor, we are all a part of a family of the original peoples of the earth. My family right here in Georgia. They were the first people before the Pilgrims come here. We go all the way back to Louisiana, Mississippi. We have land. Never have been on nobody's boat. This brother, I said he was out of Atlantis, but wherever there was earth, they traveled. Not only this one brother, it was thousands of other people that were running around this earth bringing in knowledge how to build the greatest civilization that you could ever find. They look like this brother. And what's happening in the 21st century, Mr. Bond? We got Jamestown, Virginia, 1712. He came and told him, Mr. Willie Lynch, you need to stop killing all of them dog people. That's your property. Some of y'all ancestors, you know what the story was. Willie Lynch, he said, I got a plan that you can save your property and continue to have wealth for the next 300 years. But how you gonna do it? Sister L.A. Pink, we're gonna divide them. The light skin against the brown skin, and that dark skin like this brother, and the elderly like myself standing here. Had the young against them. Had the lighter one near me. The brown one can come and stick around. But we're gonna always keep it going. Even if he's gone, Mr. Dozier, what you doing? What you doing, Mr. Amos? Why do I say it, Mr. Faroki? You have this brother you call on your $20 bill, Andrew Jackson, the founding father of the Democratic Party. 1820, Andrew Jackson became the founding father of the Democratic Party. But what did he say? I'm against the abolishment of slavery. Who was Andrew Jackson? The trails of tears, for you don't know. The 13 colonies, Georgia, Alabama, no, South Carolina, just go look at it, Google it in the 21st century. They moved my people off this land. My grandma was a Seminole, a real Seminole. Her daddy was darker than this man. But we always had the Chinese to come in here before and start lighting it up. But we had respect for one another. But in the 21st century, Brother Mayor, we want you to tell the people the knowledge of self. All you got to do is read your books. This book's about this man. This book's about that tree of life y'all got in that Bible. They ain't got nothing to deal with a tree. We got to deal with your Kundalini energy coming from your crown chakra all the way down to your foot. All I'm suggesting in the 21st century, Mr. Warren, it's time for us to change and want to do for those that can't do for themselves. You got these brothers and sisters out here, like the sister say, you gave yourself a raise. You wanted more than what you gave. For what? I've been coming down here, Mr. Bond, for 15 years begging you to go and finish the street. I send you emails, all of you at the same time, telling you how we need to come together. Mr. Overseer tell me, brother, I'm one vote. So I said, let me make it known. I'm not just want to move myself up to the front. I live on a street over 100 houses there with families in it. Been there. But you got mine paid because I asked to get it done. But I asked you to finish that. And recently you did some work out there. Mr. Mayor, I told you when you be paid, Butler, thank you. And you promised that when I become mayor, I'd do that. But you got workers in your transportation transportation department. Won't even listen to Mr. Sullivan. He said, I got it done. We're going to go back out there and get it did, Mr. Bond. They did this stuff about 6 months ago, finished those striping. But they won't even stripe the pedestrian walkway. Even around a church my wife go to. You won't do that. Look at you, Mr. Amos, sitting over there like you done lost your mind. The same way you sat over there in the school board. I used to go over there. And I was one that helped them start that African infusion program. Then y'all watered it down, like Carter G. Woodson said. I don't want to tell the truth. They say I'll take your money, W. the boys. And look at us today. But I'm going to ask you this. Because I asked the OIG, I'm talking to the laws, they don't want to say nothing. OIG trying to tell me they got something else going on, but they give me an opportunity to talk to them about it. Because I don't think it's right for us to have you legislators can't come together for the benefit of information that you know ain't being done. And if you're going to sit in that seat, have a way to give a recognition for the other people that you might not like me. I don't care about what you don't like about me, because I know I'm standing on the square. But you're going to realize soon, like the sister said, and a lot of more y'all, you ain't going to be able to keep hanging on here, getting this money and seeing your people suffer, but you'll bring DEI. I was so glad when Mr. Trump signed DEI as a executive order. He ended, as I end myself. I say, assalamu alaikum, may I make sure hotel. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Margie McLeod. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Very short. Good afternoon, everybody. I know you're wide awake. I've been coming down here for 2 years for rent control. At the Capitol, no one passed the bill. No one. You know why? Because we don't work together. Number two, they are landlords down there. And I had a Senate, I should call his name out, that he didn't believe in rent control. Because he had property and he wanted to make money. Mary Norwood, I want to ask 581. We went all through the option and out. We should amend, and this is what I want you to do, and I think that you could do it. Since you amend that bill, the 581, the homestead, can you amend and put a cap on that rent? It can be done, because y'all say what y'all can't do, but you did that, say 2.69%. So can you amend that? Because we are hurting. The people say you don't care about them. That's Michael Jackson. You don't care. Because, Mayor, you have the power, and you need to use your power. Because we have to put a cap on the rent, say 3%, whatever. Because we cannot wait until next year. Next year gonna look like what? All this money, I find out Hope say they help 3,000 people a month. I'm just like, I was shocked. Wait a minute. Now, I could refer you, because where I go at, I see them under these bridges. So what I'm saying, Mayor, you have the power, and you want me to vote for you, I got to see what you are doing, okay? Hey, please, Mary Norwood, can you do that? Because you one who gave us that information. You had 3 meetings, but a lot of people didn't show up. Mend that bill.
That is a state of Georgia. Since you've addressed me individually, I can answer. That's a
Councilmember
state.
Norwood, just want to make sure she finishes her time.
Okay, sorry.
That's all I'm asking you, because we cannot wait until next year. Because you know people getting fired. You know people going to have homelessness. We're going to be just like L.A. We are L.A. now.
Time has expired. Thank you. Councilmember Norwood.
Okay, that is a state of Georgia bill. That is not something I can go and amend as a municipal elected official, not a state of Georgia elected official. I know exactly what you're saying, and it breaks our hearts up here too, because we have issues with landlords, we have issues with people living in substandard dwellings, and we have exorbitant rents. So we are very much aware, but to change a bill at the state legislature is not something we can do. We have to find a state representative. They have to introduce the bill. It has to go across the chambers, so it's got to make crossover day from one to the other. What we did was to give City of Atlanta residents information on what was available to them as homeowners, because that was a homeowner bill, not a rental bill, that was at the state legislature. And the city wanted to do its own homeowner exemption, and those were the information sessions that I was hosting and the information that I sent out. So it's a different issue, but I hear your concern, and I know everyone up here hears your concern, and we will do what we can.
Okay, what I'm saying to you, that's just for homeowners. How about the tenants? You're not looking out for them or renters.
Thank you, Ms. McLeod. That's your time.
Impossible. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
But y'all getting an increase because of cost of living. Are your people going to get a cost of living too?
Thank you, Ms. McLeod. Next will be Gaurav Amarpuri. Due to yielded time, you have up to 6 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gaurav Amarpuri, and I'm a volunteer with a non-profit organization called Conscious Planet. Thank you for declaring March 21st as the Safe Soil Day. In 2020, UN estimated that we have 50 to 60 years of agriculture left on this planet. Just think about it, only 50 to 60 years of agriculture left on this planet. In the US, over 52% of the soil has completely deteriorated. If we continue to maintain the status quo, by 2045, we'll be producing 40% less food than what we are producing today. And while the population is expected to increase from 8 billion people to 9.3 billion people. And it is not just about the quantity, it is also about the quality. Over the last 100 years, the average mineral content of calcium, magnesium, and iron in produce such as cabbage, lettuce, spinach, tomatoes has fallen 80 to 90%. This is clearly evident in the rising cases of nutrition and vitamin deficiency, compromising our immune system and impacting our overall well-being. Soil degradation is costing $45 billion annually in the US. So Save Soil is a global people's movement launched by Conscious Planet to address an existential crisis, the rapid degradation of agricultural soils. Over the last 3 decades, Save Soil has implemented a holistic strategy for soil revitalization through scalable farmer-driven projects, policy advocacy, and citizen awareness programs. The movement is working with a number of governments across the globe to shape soil policies and is supporting over 250,000 farmers in transition to various regenerative agriculture practices, including tree-based agriculture, often referred to as agroforestry. Save Soil is backed by UN Environment Program, UN Food and Agricultural Organization, UN Convention to Combat Desertification, World Food Program, and IUCN, among others. Conscious Planet, a non-profit organization, was founded by Sadhguru. On March 21st, 2022, Save Soil global movement was launched by Sadhguru through a 100-day lone motorcycle journey across 27 nations to raise awareness. The movement addresses the soil degradation crisis by uniting citizens to stand up for soil and support elected representatives to enact policy for healthy soil. Save Soil aims to have policies that work towards increasing organic matter in agricultural soils to safeguard soil health for future generations. Soil health needs supportive policies in every city, every state, everywhere around the world. Policies needs people support. People support needs awareness. That is why the declaration of March 21st as the Save Soil Day is an important step in increasing the awareness. We can all come together to reverse the soil degradation crisis. Here in Atlanta, we've had walkathons, joyful community walks and hikes, and outreach programs at the public library and schools for both children and the adults. We understand that soil health is human health. We invite you to join us for the future community events. So please see us after this if you wish to get involved. You can also go to savesoil.org and click Action Now to get involved. Thank you again for declaring March 21st as the Save Soil Day in the city of Atlanta. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Delilah Anthony. You have up to 2 minutes.
Hello, my name is Dalil Anthony, and I'm here on behalf of a grassroots organization called the Tree Next Door. It's interesting that Conscious Planet just spoke. I actually met them outside before this meeting. This group here may not be able to may not be able to preserve soil around the world, but you can preserve it here in Atlanta. I'm here to speak about Ordinance 25-0-1129. This morning, several of us met with Commissioner Overstreet to see if we could add some things to the ordinance to improve it. Commissioner, City Council Member Overstreet, I have not seen an updated ordinance yet. Therefore, I'm speaking to the last ordinance that we have in which the city is exempting itself from the TPO for all public infrastructure projects, including the Atlanta Beltline and PATH, which includes the Trails ATL. That means a lot of trees are going to come down without any oversight, any permitting, And the ordinance also says that they will only be assessed a recompense of $30 per inch, whereas right now, you all have to pay, you have to actually replant inch for inch. But we're willing to negotiate and say, okay, rather than just having to replant, it's okay to pay recompense, but at least pay the recompense that's being required in the proposed TPO the first year, which is $117.50. To go all the way back to $30 is saying you only want to replace 1/10 of the trees that you're taking down. Other things we had was we wanted to make sure that we had a sunset clause in there, that we removed a cap on recompense, and that no project could be terminated and then reapplied for in order to capitalize on this great deal that you've got going on for recompense right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be John Stopp. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Hey, thanks. I wanted to address something that happened to me on the way in with Liliana Bakhtiari's chief of staff. I think his name's Nick Capone. If you can hear me now, yeah, my dad's name is Mike. That's not my name, but I guess y'all know my full real name. I'm not sure if that was supposed to be like a intimidation tactic or whatever, but anyway, I am actually grateful he brought that up because it was my dad's 70th birthday yesterday. And he did 20 years, like I mentioned, in the United States Air Force and retired a lieutenant colonel. And as I mentioned previously, too, we moved down here right before my 10th birthday to a little town south of Warner Robins Air Force Base. And, you know, I wouldn't really wish that experience on anybody. It was pretty rough. And I don't really like my legal name, first name, which is Joel. Congratulations. Y'all know my real legal name. John Stopp was just a joke that started with the stop signs. You know, I went home after the last meeting and I was reinvigorated, and I went back to the Decatur-ish website and reread all the comments on those articles. And something struck my fancy, so I went to ChatGPT and just punched in a few keywords. And when I turned up the allegations Kate Kissel made back in November 8th of 2021, I was just a little befuddled. And the track record's been there. It is what it is. Y'all know what it is. I got a new gig coming up Mondays. I ain't gonna be back. Y'all have a great rest of the meeting and great rest of y'all's careers. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Alan Lee. Due to yielded time, you'll have up to 4 minutes.
Good afternoon, members of the council. I am Alan Lee on behalf of the Federation of Public Service Employees. I come as one, I stand as many. I actually came to talk a little about some HR issues, but every time I come to the City Council of Atlanta, I am never amazed at the entertainment, for lack of a better word. Maybe I'll give you guys a little a little entertainment. Now I'm reminded that plantation politics is real. I believe we ought to hold public officials accountable. I believe not all black politicians are my friends, nor all white politicians my enemy. But I refuse to believe that my mayor, my DA, and everybody else is corrupt. We can disagree with them. I believe in honest disagreements. But I refuse to upbraid and downdress every black politician. They don't walk on water. And even if they did, some would just complain they can't swim. We have to be real because these are real times and real issues impacting real people. I'm about that life and I'm from the street too. Streets are real, not enough resources, a lot of problems in our schools, a lot of privatizing to some rich developers of our schools, some real issues that we can address. Gentrifying or making it plain, making it simple, turning our black communities into white communities and sending them to Clayton. Real problems we can address. But I'm just not sure coming up here being funny on serious stuff is the solution. You know, it's ironic we keep talking about holding people accountable. We just had some elections. They reelected the sheriff. Just had some elections. They reelected Fonnie. So I believe in political engagement, believe in holding people accountable, believe in being politically, believe in knocking on doors, believe in running candidates against other candidates. In fact, we'll probably see some of that this November. And I intend to lock, load, and fully engage and try to be the change that I want to see. But I'm not going to come up here and diss Andrea Boone, who has given more to this community than most. Not going to do it. It's funny, but we had serious times. What I actually wanted to come talk about today, and I got a little digressed, what I wanted to talk about today was our HR department. And I need to stay focused, you're right. And I think we all need to stay focused as a community. We got to stay focused because people are dying. We got to stay focused because people are hurt. And we got to stay focused and we got to respect people. And we can't just talk. Because as other people were talking, I didn't say my comments. I stayed focused. So I'll stay focused and I'll say my comments for the HR department next time I'm before you. Thank you for the opportunity to be heard.
Thank you. Next will be Devin Franklin. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Devin Franklin, Senior Movement Policy Counsel with the Southern Center for Human Rights. Mr. Lee said something really interesting that I want to piggyback on. He mentioned that he does not come to this podium with the belief that our elected officials are somehow corrupt inherently. What I would like to speak to you all about is whether our elected officials are in fact men and women of their word. On August 8th, 2022, Mayor Andre Dickens stood at this very podium and told everyone that it was his personal constitution to not be in the jailing business very long. He spoke about severe penalties for Fulton County if they were to occupy the Atlanta City Detention Center longer than the 4 years that they all were contracted for the lease. The lease, of course, is the one that I come to you all and speak about very often about how it has been a failure of policy, how people have continued to die in Fulton County custody in Rice Street and in ACD since the point in time that the lease was signed, including the most recent death, which occurred on March 4th of this year, which was the second of this year. During that speech, Mayor Dickens also made other words, other comments that I hope he would keep true to. He spoke to the repurposing of the Atlanta City Detention Center. The words that he used were the vision for repurposing the diversions, the ACDC has been set. He spoke to beginning the process of putting in requests for inquiries so that businesses could submit their ideas about how the building would be repurposed. And we are halfway through that lease, and I believe that now is the time for you all to act on the promise in the legislation to begin the staged withdrawal, Mr. Lewis, of Fulton County detained persons from ACDC.
Time has expired. Councilmember Amos, did you want to? Okay, Councilmember Lewis.
I would say thank you. Similar to in 2022, I understood the need for then. I understood that the Fulton County Jail had issues that needed to be relieved in any kind of way possible. The city of Atlanta should have helped at that time period. I understood that they requested 700 beds. Even up to today, they've never used over 400. And
Never more than 100 for the men who were Rice Street.
And I understand that the black men that are laying on the floor on Rice Street were not the people that were moved. Were never more than 100 beds for the black men that we talked about that were laying on the floor on Rice Street that I saw laying in the crates in Rice Street. And so today, I know since that legislation, I've been reaching out to every attorney in the city, every attorney organization, progressive and not progressive, trying to find out ways who can come up with the best solution on what was happening. To see the state legislator this year actually take a stab at snatching the jail, they put forth legislation that it was like a catch-all. So any county in the state of Georgia it could have happened to, but it was only happening in Atlanta and Fulton County. So to see that legislation come forth and to know that we were talking about this last year, because I knew that at one point that lease was going to end. I know anybody who rents anything in the country knows that at one point leases end, and sometimes the organization that owns the lease may want to sell it. Sometimes they may want to lease it to someone else, but it belongs to them, right? And so I just want to make sure that right now, because that legislation that was saw this year that was moving through the state house, it sounded like the state or the county were trying to take the city of Atlanta jail and move in a different type of direction. So today I actually have legislation, thankful to working with the smart attorneys that ain't in this building. We got super smart attorneys in this building, but I wanted to I wanted to get some information from the outside, people who are not a part of this, to give me an unbiased opinion. And so we were able to receive some legislation, and I actually have 2 council members that have seen it, but they say they're gonna be signing on with us. And the goal is to give power to 3 branches of government. The goal on this side is to make sure that we are putting forth legislation to make sure that the other side is able to do what we ask. And so I hope that my colleagues saw the state trying to take our jail from us this year, right? The things that we've asked the state for are rent control. That ain't happening. But then at the same time we asked them for rent control, they try to snatch our jail. So they do what they want to do over there, right? We ask for reform on insurances, and then they do tort reform. And I understand tort reform, but we ask for them to make it to where insurance companies can no longer drop us. And so that's not a part of the tort reform bill legislation. So today we will be dropping very specific legislation and handing it over to the administration. And I appreciate you and the attorneys that are working on the outside for helping me with creating this. Thank you again.
Next up will be Andreen Kong. Due to yield time, you'll have up to 8 minutes.
Hey everyone, I am not nervous. Thank you guys for having us here today. I'm here to speak on a situation I brought before you guys back, I believe it's January 23rd, the day that a lot of protesters came when Cornelius Taylor had passed, in an unfortunate situation. Firstly, I would like to thank you again for having me. Councilwoman Bakhtiari, I'd like to thank you so much for all of your help. You've been here from the very beginning before my issues became any issues. So I'm just gonna reiterate if you don't remember me. This is my son Samuel, and this is Casey, and I'm Andreen. And I was here last time to tell you guys that I had a fire that happened in November. And my property, Marshawn, managed by Graystar, they had raised my rent that was negotiated down to something that was reasonable back, and I paid that back in October and November, and the property manager, who was working alongside, the property owners and Councilwoman Liliana, he had passed away, and then new management came in, and after the fire that I had burned my hands, I had told them about the issues, that we weren't even home. I had to put out the fire because the extinguisher was inoperable, and I just needed a little bit of time to make sure I could pay for December. And so then on December 6th, they, gave me a pay or leave notice, and fast forward to the end of December, I got a notice on my door that, they wanted to evict us. So I came, the rate at that time went from $1,554 to over $2,800. And I, took everything that I had. I'm a entrepreneur. I had been laid off working in cybersecurity for like over a year now. And life has been hard trying to find work, and there are a lot of layoffs, so I just been working as an entrepreneur. So I was able to get the funds through working hard, and I got a cashier's check, and they denied me on December 31st, and I wasn't sure if that was right of them, and thank God I did a voice recording of me just asking in the same tone that I'm speaking to you now. Like, I'm not a yeller. I just was asking them, can you please explain to me, why you won't accept this payment? And they let me know that they wanted to evict me and that they would not accept any payment from me until I left the property. And this was, obviously met with huge concerns to me, because I thought I was in a place where they wanted to help me get back on my feet and just, stabilize my life. But with this new management, they did not want to do that. So I had already informed Nick Capone and Councilmember Bakhtiari about what had been going on, and then I came to you guys in January, and I had even gotten more assistance through Dr. Woodson and Mrs. Carla Wells, who had gotten involved, and they too were met with rejection from Marshawn Graystar, that they wouldn't provide any documents, even documents I had personally requested to see, what was really going on, because the numbers kept changing and they did not want to accept payment. So I'll be facing my court hearing tomorrow morning, and they had even filed a motion to file a writ of possession sooner before my hearing to remove me and my children. And I would be glad to leave, but I don't want to leave with an eviction on my name, you know what I mean? Especially because that'd make it even more complicated for me and my children to have a place to live. So, sorry. I just want to leave in peace, and I'm here to see if anyone can get involved to see what can be done. If we need to leave and be rehoused, then I just want to leave without this being on my file. And I just want to take care of my kids in peace. I informed them of the fire, and they didn't want to provide any documentation as far as the inspector that they had come out, who was hostile towards me. I asked them to please not allow anyone to come into my unit without me being present, because I want to be informed, and I just want there to be honesty. But it just felt like all of this is just a retaliation from that fire and from that point moving forward. So I'm just here to, give you guys an update of what has been taking place and what is happening and moving and what could possibly happen this very week. I want proper notice of what that is within my lease agreement, for them to give us 60 days of notice and time to move, and just to move without having to, face hardship and trying to find a new place to live. It's already been hard enough being an entrepreneur. It's not like I have mentorship. I'm just out here doing what I can with the knowledge that I have, working with what I have. So I thought I needed all this time, but I'm not sure. Sam, do you have anything that you wanted to say?
Yes. I am thankful for anything that you could possibly do to support my mom with the eviction problem.
Did you want to say anything? Oh, God.
Thank you.
No baby talk. Please, Mr. Goldenstein. She wants to sing Mr. Goldenstein. Okay, we're going to save that for next time, okay, baby? I did, prepare a letter or whatever, just to, say whatever I need to say, but I feel like this is the gist of everything. Of course, I want to express my gratitude, but this is an urgent matter, and it's something that cannot wait. And I absolutely appreciate all the effort that has been made to this point, but I'm here to just inform you that this is what's happening right now, so. That concludes everything I have to say.
Injury?
Thank you. Councilmember Bakhtiari was first, then I'll come down the dais. Councilmember Bakhtiari.
I got you. We're going to sort it out. I've already started looking at, in terms of, we're working on the additional housing, keeping you in that community. I'm trying to get you right across the street. So we're going to keep working on that. And in terms of the eviction, sounds like it's time for me to go visit management again. Okay?
Thank you so much.
I got you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bond.
Very pleased to hear that Councilwoman Bakhtiari is on top of the situation as far as the relocation is going. But for you and any citizen that's listening, we passed legislation almost 4 years ago that any citizen that needs advice or counsel concerning an eviction can call the Office of the Public Defender over at Municipal Court, Mr. Day, and they will give free legal advice and assistance with representation. So I will come down and give you the number over there. Do you have an attorney to go with you to court tomorrow? Oh, so y'all working on that? Okay. Well, I'll make sure that you have that number so that, in the future, or if you need to pass it along to someone else. But anyone can call the Office of Public Defender at the Atlanta Municipal Court and receive legal assistance from those attorneys.
Thank you. I don't know if it's okay for me to just add, I did want to say that throughout this process, I, did document just, when I tried to pay them back in December, and I recorded when they rejected me, and just let it be known that they weren't going to accept any payment, and then they did again with Dr. Woodson and Mrs. Wells, and so yeah, this is where we are at this point. And I obviously don't want my children and I to be uprooted from our community. We've been here for all their lives, so.
Councilman Boone?
Thank you.
Ma'am, is the eviction already on your record?
No, the hearing is on tomorrow.
So we want to connect her with the volunteer lawyers tonight so that we can make sure, because you are very young, and we want to make sure that that eviction, that stain is not on your record. So I want to connect you to the volunteer lawyers. Councilmember Bakhtiari, we want to connect her with the volunteer lawyers today so that that eviction, that's very important. Even if we come up with the $3,000, it's $3,000? How much is the balance?
They're not accepting anything from us.
So we've got to get in touch with the volunteer lawyers immediately. You gonna do it now? Gonna do it now?
Councilor Bakhtiari.
Yeah, so real quick, I wanted to also note, I noted this last time, but Ms. Kong was also used by this agency, by this apartment complex at the opening of this, at the ribbon cutting, to speak about how this property helped house her and her children. I think it is abhorrent that they did that and are now trying to evict her. We're going to fight this eviction. You've done everything, again, that we've asked for, and I want to give a shout out to the Housing Help Center, and as you said, Dr. Woodson and Ms. Carla Wells. I have found you a lawyer with Atlanta Legal Aid who fights eviction processes. So we're going to get to work on that, and
Thank you so much.
we're going to take it a day at a time, but we're going to get there.
Thank you guys.
Because,
for having me.
yeah, I'm not going anywhere, so they're gonna have to keep answering questions. And to my colleagues, they have refused to accept any more of her money as a point of eviction. So we're on it.
Guys, thank you for hearing me, even in my time of being nervous. Thank you.
Thank you. Next will be Minister Ann Breedlove. Due to yielded time, you'll have up to 4 minutes.
My glasses. Greetings, everybody. I pray that everybody is well this afternoon. I have a message for you all today. I was on a journey, on a trip, and I had to come back here to tell you all. The message is that you all are God's people. And God gave me a word. He said, because you are his children, and he is the king. He's Lord of Lords and King of Kings. And this is what you are. It's no way on this face of the earth that we are people cannot come together. The word is in Psalms 95, 10 chapter and 11. 40 years long was I grieved with this generation, us. And God said, it is a people that do error in their hearts, and they have not known my ways, unto whom I swear in my wrath that they shall not enter into my rest. Now I'm here listening that all this is going on this morning, or this afternoon it is. And I am a real true warrior of Atlanta, Georgia. I worked in that English Avenue for years, suffered to see how the people was mistreated. And because I was wealthy, yes it was, and I was arrested for evil people that did not like me. But God still blessed me from sickness of a size 0, couldn't walk, talk, or eat from my arrest, that I was put in this hot van with the air off, sweating, crying out. 13 years in poverty. I left my children for 4 years. And as I look at this ordinance here about English Avenue, I guess it's your bill, Byron Amos. English Avenue, West Side Village has suffered people. Michael was one of those that stood. He stood for English Avenue, Vine City. You all are newcomers, many of you are here. You don't know the struggle that us elders had to go through. And for you to all to sit and listen at what is going on in this city is a shame. You all can come together and make an impact. Because I know for a fact that the Republicans is coming, and they're gonna come and get every record. And every person that done evil and did not do under the oath of you swearing, is gonna be a change. You never know when you're gonna be homeless or from a paycheck. You gotta look at yourself. What did I do wrong? Lord, I need to repent. And people, it's repenting time. It's time to come together and make this city a better city. Matt Dickerson, God still said, repent. Come together with your people. The council people here loves you. We do too. And God bless you.
Next will be Hades Salas. Haiti Salas. Next will be Saran Henderson. Next will be Alalu Winfunke. You'll have up to 2 minutes.
Wish I could have the people that didn't show up add time to mine, but I don't think that's how that works. But yes, thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, council. I'll be brief since I only have 2 minutes. I'm still in business with what we spoke about. However, I just want to share some other stuff with things that I've experienced in Atlanta. I'm not looking for any special treatment or anything. Want to talk about things with police misconduct, rental property issues, the judicial system. First of all, police misconduct, like nobody's really looking for any special treatment, but then the way that the officers treat the citizens, they're here supposed to help people, not harass people. And there's some things that happened in my situation that they're gonna have to answer for because I have lawyers. But it's just, it didn't happen 1 time, 2 times, and I'm a nice guy. I think I am, Next thing is the rental properties. The lady that actually, Divine Feminine that just actually spoke, same thing happened to me, but luckily I have resources and I was able to get a lawyer and everything, went to court. I don't have to pay anything. They did put it, they put it to where I couldn't even get an apartment with whatever they put on my record. But luckily, the judge said I don't have to pay anything. So next, since I'm trying to go because I have 2 minutes. There's a lot to say, well, a little. So next thing is the judicial system. There are some places that I went and I had all my evidence, and I know if I don't have a lawyer and I'm going against somebody, it's not most likely going to go in my favor. I know the last, but yeah, we just need to stay mindful, stay peaceful. A lot of people are wondering why I'm so calm about all these things because I have a higher learning, basically, with what I do on the healing side and on the mental side. So I'm able to handle all these things. But I appreciate you guys. And since I had 2 minutes, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Greg L. You have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Greg Levine with Trees Atlanta. And I'm going to talk about the legislation, the tree ordinance changes from inch per inch and making it into the recompense, which is proposed. I appreciate Councilperson Overstreet's work on this. Generally speaking, most people support changing the inch per inch. But the way it's being changed is actually bringing down protection for trees. So instead of making the development community do better, the city is going to do worse. We've made several changes. Many of the council people have been sent them. I'm sorry, I've been sent to all the council people. We did put a sunset on it, which we appreciate. But right now, you're bringing it down to basically $30 an inch, which is about 1/10 of what it actually costs to plant a 2.5-inch caliber tree. It's been low for 25 years, and now with the tree ordinance keep on being pushed back and back, we're just getting in front of it and saying, well, we're gonna make it even easier to take down trees for the city, whether we change the tree ordinance or not. I hear that it's gonna be voted on shortly. We've heard this for decades at this point. A couple of things that really do need to happen. There needs to be removal of the cap for the inch per inch. We need to follow the rest of the tree ordinance. It's still not clear in there at all that the city has to follow the tree ordinance. It just says the inch per inch is moved down to $30. A couple of other changes are, well, there's some big ones. I guess in the end, in here, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna vote this through, you really got to get this ordinance changed. It needs to be changed, not part, which we're hearing from the commissioner right now. You're gonna split it in half yet again. The ordinance needs to be improved because we're losing canopy, and canopy are the lungs of the city, and we're losing them.
Time's expired. Next will be, thank you. Next will be Paris Hatcher. Next will be Jamara Amani. Next will be Jill Johnson. You have up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm Jill Johnson with Atlanta Beltline, Inc., and I brought with me today our Director of Design, Kevin Burke. I want to speak quickly to Ordinance 25-0-1129 and thank Council Member Overstreet and Council Member Hillis for their work on discussing a difficult matter. As you know, Atlanta Beltline, Inc. works closely with Trees Atlanta, the city's Department of Parks and Rec, professional arborists and design consultants to route our trail alignments and design them in a manner that protects as many high-quality trees as possible. While the construction, what we're currently experiencing is the construction of the 22-mile mainline Beltline loop is accelerating greatly, and that's in large part thanks to the council's support of the Beltline Special Service District and generous philanthropic funders. At the same time, we now find ourselves facing planting constraints, serious planting constraints and replanting constraints for those trees, and we have maximized the area available to us under the current tree protection ordinance. We want to do the best we can. I want to provide, if it's all right, Mr. Burke with a couple of minutes to provide some more context on how we handle these issues at the Beltline.
Good afternoon, and thank you all.
I'm sorry, you can't yield time on the fly. Ms. Johnson, it's your time.
Okay, apologies. So I think the thing that I'd like to share is that we are, the good news is we've received more than $40 million in federal funds to advance the construction of the Northeast Trail and the Northwest Trail. In order to stay on schedule, in order to not endanger those funds, we need permits to move forward to do so this summer. We need to be able to figure this out. We would definitely welcome the opportunity and to move forward in a way that will not delay the permitting of these projects, that will allow us to be good stewards to protect the tree canopy and also to ensure that we can build and provide regional connectivity through the construction of the Northeast and Northwest Trail around the city and around the region. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Overstreet.
Yes, I just wanted to add just a little clarity around the two amendments that came about today. Those are the two that withstood council and law. Even after we spoke today, we continued to, and I'm speaking to you, Trees Atlanta, and DeLille. I wanted to make sure that you all understood that I heard everything that you said. The main thing is that we want to get the tree protective ordinance passed in its totality, and everyone's on that page from what I understood. However, that's not going to happen today, and we want to make sure that the sunset was in there, and also we talked about the re-permitting law does have information on that for you, and when it's time for us to vote, they're going to opine, just so you'll have more clarity about where we landed. All right? Thanks.
Next will be Pastor James Davenport. You have up to 2 minutes.
Thank you. First, giving honor to God, who I oftentimes call my conductor. Y'all know I don't have a PhD, but I do have a GOD. Recently, I mentioned to you all a little bit about my mama. I don't even think I mentioned the fact that back in the 60s, she went in business with Hank Thomas, Junior Bond, Joe Reed. They opened the Wishbones and a Dairy Queen. I said that to say this: since more than 50 years, our family have done our 4th of Julys at Washington Park. First black park in Atlanta, but it's sad, my family don't want to go back. There's no grass near the pavilion. Water runs down the side of the pavilion. Water runs right beside of the grill. One of the saddest part is that urine creeps from the walls of the men's bathroom, and it's been like that for years. For years, it's been this way. And I'm fighting to keep it that we still go to Washington Park, but a lot of my family members says no. It's sad that for years there has been one earth-moving equipment at that park been sitting there. It's a shame, y'all. It is a shame, and y'all know how compassionate I am about my heritage. As you see what I'm wearing now, the very first black high school in the city of Atlanta. For this park to go neglected like that, we're talking about the same park that Arthur Blank tried to get. Couldn't touch it. Couldn't touch it. So y'all tell me, what should we do?
Time has expired.
It's sad.
Thank you. Next will be Dr. DeJuan Robinson. That concludes the remarks from the public. I want to thank everybody who came down today to speak to council. And with that, we will turn to the report of the journal. Madam Clerk.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, Mayor, and members of council. I, Corinne Lindo, Municipal Clerk for the City of Atlanta, do hereby certify that the minutes of the regular meeting held on Monday, March 3rd, 2025 are true and correct.
If there are no additions or edits to the journal, I would entertain a motion to adopt. Moved by Councilmember Juan, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt the journal? We do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count. Unanimous consent.
14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt the journal carries. Next, we'll move to communications. Madam Clerk.
First item is 25C-0042. This is a communication from Mayor Andre Dickens reappointing Mr. Dargan Burns to serve as a member of the City of Atlanta Audit Committee. This appointment is for a term of 4 years to begin retroactively on December 7th, 2024 and expire on December 6th, 2028. Staff recommendation to refer to Finance Executive Committee and Committee on Council.
Let the item follow that course.
Item number 2 was 25C-0043. This is a communication from Mayor Andre Dickens appointing Mr. Marlon Campbell to serve as a member of the City of Atlanta, Fulton County Recreation Authority. This appointment is for a term of 4 years. Staff recommendation to refer to Community Development Human Services Committee and Committee on Council.
Let the item follow that course.
Item number 3 is 25C-00444. This is a communication from Commissioner Solomon Cabanis IV, Atlanta Department of Transportation, appointing Mrs. Michelle Wynn to serve as a member of the City of Atlanta Americans with Disability Act Advisory Committee member. Staff recommendation to refer to Transportation Committee and Committee on Council.
Let the item follow that course.
Item number 4 is 25C-0045. This is a communication from Council members Dustin Hillis, District 9, Andrea Boone, District 10, and Ishe Collins, Post 3 at Large, appointing Ms. Arlisha McMichael to serve as a member of the Water and Sewer Appeals Board. This appointment is for a term of 3 years. Staff recommendation to refer to City Utilities Committee and Committee on Council.
Let the item follow that course.
Mr. President, if I may take items 5 and 6 of the block.
Without objection, please proceed.
Item number 5 is 25C-0046. This is a communication from Mayor Andre Dickens appointing Mr. Kevin Norton to serve as a member of the Office of Buildings Technical Advisory Committee. This appointment is for a term of 2 years. Item number 6 is 25C-0047. It's a communication from Council members Jason Winston, District 1, Amir Faroki, District 2, Byron Amos, District 3, Jason Dozers, District 4, and Michael Julian Bond, Post 1 at Large, appointing Dr. Charlotte Alexander to serve as a member of the Artificial Intelligence Commission. For those items, staff recommendation to accept and file.
Let both items follow that course.
That concludes the communication item, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there any vetoed legislation for consideration?
There are none.
Is there any unfinished business? Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we'll move to the consent agenda, Section 1. These are items that begin on page 4. They are for second reading. The appropriate motion will be to adopt, but first, let me ask if there are any items to be removed from the consent agenda. Councilor Winston.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to remove on page 10, item number 5, which is 25R 3220.
25R 3220. Councilmember Juan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to, on page 12, pull number 14, which is 35R 3223, and that's 25R 3223, page 12, number 14.
Thank you. Councilor Amos.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Item starting on page number 10, ending on 11, item number 9, it's 25-R-3219.
25R 3219. Any others?
For some reason, I think whenever I press this, it's coming up as Councilmember Amos.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Do you have one to remove, Councilmember Lewis?
Yes, can I take off 25R3221, page 14, item number 22, and to send it to the mayor post haste?
Well, we'll have to adopt it first. We send it. 25R 3221, correct? Sorry. Yeah, Councilmember Lewis, are you pulling off consent, or are you to be considered separately, or you just want to move it post haste? Okay, so let's hold that for a moment, and then we'll do that after we adopt. Any others to be pulled? We've got 3 items removed from the consent agenda. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda section 1 with 3 items removed. Sorry, Councilor Bakhtiari moved, seconded by Councilor Juan. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt the consent agenda section 1 with 3 items removed? Hearing none, move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt.
The vote is open. Everyone, please vote. Will everyone please vote? The vote's closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries. Councilmember Lewis.
Can you please move 25R3221 on page 14, item number 22, to the mayor post haste?
Councilmember Lewis makes a motion to move 25R 3221 post haste to the mayor's office. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Overstreet. Is there any discussion on the motion to move post haste this item? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent to move this item post haste.
14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to move this item post haste carries. We will now move to the consent agenda section 2. These are items on page 22. They are first reads, so the appropriate motion will be to refer. But first, let me ask, are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda section 2? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to refer. Moved by Councilmember Juan, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Any discussion on the motion to refer the consent agenda section 2? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to refer.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote's closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to refer carries. We will now move to the report of standing committees. First up today will be CDHS. Chair Winston.
Thank you, Council President. First item is 25-R-3160. A resolution by Councilmember Winston authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the city of Atlanta to enter into a contract with the number listed for pools and splash pads maintenance services with Stangard Aquatics, Inc. on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation in an amount not to exceed $2 million and 0 cents annually and for other purposes. I'd like to substitute to include the account strings and the iPro report, so I'll make a motion to refer to substitute.
So this came favorable out of condition, correct?
Correct.
So
Sorry, to bring forth the substitute, sorry.
So there's a motion coming out of committee to adopt. It doesn't need a second. There's now a motion to bring forth a substitute by Councilmember Winston, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. Is there any discussion on the motion to bring forth the substitute? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to the motion to bring forth the substitute? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to bring forth the substitute.
14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to bring forth the substitute carries. We're now back to the motion to adopt as substituted.
I'd like to make the motion to adopt as substituted.
There's a motion to adopt as substituted on the floor. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt this item as substituted? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt as substituted.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote?
How do you want your vote reflected, Councilor Winston?
Aye.
The vote's closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion carries.
Thank you, Council President. Being that pool season is upon us and we need this contract to go through pretty quickly, I'd like to make a motion to send this to the mayor post haste.
There's a motion to move this item post haste by Councilmember Winston, seconded by Councilmember Lewis. Any discussion on the motion to move post haste? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to move post haste.
14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion carries.
Thank you. My last item was the item removed from the consent agenda on page 10, item number 5, 25-R3220, a resolution by Council Members Marcy Collier Overstreet and Andrea L. Boone, as amended by Community Development and Human Services Committee, to formally recognize the Cascade Heights Commercial Historic District and for other purposes. I'd like to make a motion to amend to change the name to the Cascade Heights Commercial Historic District.
There's a motion by Councilmember Winston to amend this item, seconded by Councilmember Overstreet. Any discussion on the motion to amend this item? I think given the name change, we do this via unanimous consent. Any objection to the amendment? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to amend.
14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to amend carries.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve as amended.
There's a motion to adopt as amended by Councilman Winston. It doesn't need a second, came out of committee on favorable. So any discussion on the motion to adopt this item as amended? Hearing none, move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt as amended.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote's closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt as amended carries.
Thank you. This does conclude my report.
Thank you. Next up will be Transportation Committee. Chair Amos.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have two items. First is found on page 1, item 36, 25-R-3212, a resolution by Councilmember Jason Dozier requesting the mayor or his designee to prohibit parking on both sides of Ogden Street Southwest from Atlanta Student Movement Boulevard to its dead end, to authorize the Atlanta Department of Transportation to install signage along the prohibited area and for other purposes. The motion coming out of committee is to file.
There's a motion coming out of committee to file 25-R-3212. It doesn't need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to file this item? Hearing none, we move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to file.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? moment. The vote's closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays, motion file carries.
Thank you. Next item is the one that was pulled off of consent. That is 25-R-3219. This substitute actually changes the caption. So it's a resolution by Councilmember Mary Norwood, as substituted by the Atlanta City Council, authorizing the mayor or his designee to exercise renewal option number for IFB contract number listed intersection improvement projects on Moores Mill Road at 2 locations with BRTU Construction Incorporated on behalf of the Atlanta Department of Transportation for the term of 1 year effective March 22nd, 2025 through March 21, 2026, and for other purposes. Motion to adopt on substitute. Motion to bring forward the substitute.
This came out of committee favorable, so there's now a motion to substitute by Councilmember Amos. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Norwood. Any discussion on the motion to bring forth the substitute? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection to the motion to bring forth the substitute?
14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to bring forth the substitute carries.
Motion to approve the substitute.
Now back to the motion to adopt on substitute. It does not need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to adopt this item as substituted? Hearing none, move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt as substituted.
The vote is open. One moment. The vote is closed. No, the 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt substitute carries.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my report.
Thank you. Next up will be Finance Exec, Chair Shook.
All right, the first of our 3 items is 25-0-1129. This comes forward favorably on substitute. This is an ordinance by Council Members Overstreet and Hillis, is substituted by CDHS and FEC to exempt all City of Atlanta public infrastructure projects administered by Watershed and Transportation and DEEM and Atlanta Beltline, Inc., and the Path Foundation, Inc., from the code section indicated here, to provide that notwithstanding this exemption, that the city shall continue to plant replacement trees within the project site to the maximum extent feasible according to the replacement provisions applicable thereto contained in the tree protection ordinance, and shall otherwise contribute to the tree trust fund the replacement value of any trees removed in excess of the trees replaced in the course of any such public infrastructure projects according to the recompense formulas applicable thereto contained in the TPO to provide that where any public infrastructure project shall cause the need to remove trees from private property, the portion of the project impacting private property shall be subject to the site plan review process set forth in Division 3 of the TPO and for other purposes. This comes forward favorably on substitute.
There's a motion coming out of committee to adopt 25-0-1129. It does not need a second. Is there discussion on the motion to adopt? Councilmember Overstreet.
I have an amendment, please.
Have copies of the amendment been distributed?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, via email. Correct? Did you see it? Okay, so I am distributing them right now. I don't mind making copies.
I'll make
And, oh, thank you. And we're getting ready to send it via email also. While we are waiting, I want to explain the amendment that I just gave away. Oh, I have another one. Our initial legislation started with I just want to give a little backstory so that everyone will know that we've been working on this, and we really are somewhere where no side is happy, and that a lot of times is the right place to be, unfortunately. We initially started, in order to get these projects off of these, it's like a bottleneck of our projects because of the trees. We initially said we would take a moment where the city would be exempt from recompense. And now, of course, that's not where we are. We've worked on the paper several times, and now we are saying that we're going to stick at the space where the city is paying the same as developers. And we are going to also implement a sunset, which is 3/17/26. The sunset is in effect if we do not ratify the TPO, the Tree Protective Ordinance, beforehand. Once that ordinance is ratified, all of these go away, and we will be under a new Tree Protective Ordinance. We are closer than ever. I know those that have heard us say this many times don't believe that, because it's been a long time since the Tree Protective Ordinance was beginning its course, running through City Council and the communities and back and forth to the different special interest groups, and we really are close now. We really are. So that's where we are. And the amendments for today that I'm proposing will also add that sunset date for the entire Tree Protective Ordinance. And it also will, can I do both amendments at the same time? Yes? It also will, and I will read this specifically, whereas the calculation of the caliper inches of trees that must be replanted in order to satisfy the tree protection's replacement requirements are applicable to projects undertaken in compliance with federal consent decree and to other public infrastructure projects shall not be altered pursuant to this ordinance. It was important that we spoke to all parties to make sure that our amendments reflected a true collaboration between council and the community about something that we can all agree on. We love our trees. So this is where we are. So my amendment is two of them. The first one is the sunset of March 17, 2026. And specifically that reads, now we all have them, whereas public utilities, including those related to power, water, sewer, transportation, and public safety facilities, are already exempt from tree protection requirements under state law, and therefore it is appropriate and consistent with state law of the City of Atlanta to also exempt its own public infrastructure projects under the management of DWM, ATL, DOT, DEAM, ABI, and PATH until March 17, 2026. A new updated tree protection ordinance that already contemplates these exemptions is adopted by the Atlanta City Council and approved into law, whichever shall be sooner. And Section 2 will remain the same, shall be amended such that it shall read as follows, with permanent additions in underlined font and permanent deletions in strike-through. Section 2, temporary exemptions. This exemption shall remain in effect until March 17, 2026, or until the adoption and approval into law of a revised tree protective ordinance by the Atlanta City Council, which will take into account both the need for urban development and public infrastructure improvement and the city's environmental and sustainability goals, whichever shall be sooner. So those are my two amendments, and we will speak about the two that didn't make it after the vote. So is there a second? Second by Norwood. Please prepare that. Oh, yeah.
There's a motion by Councilmember Overstreet to amend. I think everybody has copies. Second by Councilmember Norwood. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Councilmember Bakhtiari.
Thank you. First, I do want to thank my colleagues, Councilmember Overstreet and Councilmember Hillis, for working on this. I'm struggling with this one. I do understand. I want to note the importance of the balance here because we are ridiculously behind on our infrastructure projects, and these are things that our taxpayers paid for, and it's been the feedback from my constituency on the infrastructure projects. They have been quite upset, so I understand the need to move those forward. I do want to, and I appreciate the sunset date because we have a lot of people who have lost faith that we'll tackle the TPO. What I do want to say why this is extraordinarily important for us to tackle the TPO, and yes, I understand voting yesterday to move infrastructure projects forward, but I do want to say that I will be fighting to tackle the TPO this year. Why? Because not just for the several reasons that we have here in Atlanta being ranking top 5 for rapidly worsening air quality and heating rapidly, top 5 in the country. And obviously we have the urban heat island effect, which disproportionately affects Black communities in our city due to redlining, industrial development being put in low-income communities. So yes, that's extraordinarily important to me. And I think right now, that finding the balance between housing and our tree protection is extraordinarily important, especially as we see the EPA completely gutted, and due to our tariff war with Canada, the offer to sell our national forests and cut down hundreds of acres of trees. And while that may not feel like it affects Atlanta, it does, because climate change is felt by everybody. At the same time, I do want to say that I understand the need to balance housing with trees because we are also seeing our city and our country manufacture a homeless population at a rapid rate. So we have to find a balance, but I do want to be transparent and say that my condition for voting for this today was the sunset clause, but I will tell you right here and now that I will be fighting tooth and nail for us to tackle the TPO this year. My constituency wants it. We've been dragging this on forever, and it is our responsibility to focus on hyperlocalism, and it's far easier to change a local environment than it is a national one. So this will be one of my biggest fights this year. Thank you.
Councilor Juan.
Thank you, Mr. President. This question is for law. I believe Ms. Robinson was the one who drafted this. I want to understand the amendment whereby we are putting in the expiration date on this. It says that until a new updated tree is adopted and approved into law, whichever shall be sooner. So I understand the TPO draft right now contemplates a January 1, 2026 date. I just want to make sure that's the date we be working off, not when council approves a TPO, because if it's sooner than that, then we create a situation where there's a gap, just kind of this flex period. So I just wanted to make sure that the language would reflect when the new TPO, if adopted, would take effect, not when it becomes law. Or maybe they're the same thing.
Good afternoon, Amber A. Robinson, City of Atlanta Department of Law. You're correct that the amendment and the current version of this ordinance has a sunset date of the date of approval of a new TPO into law. It could say, it could be amended to say upon the effective date of a new tree protection ordinance, which seems to be what you're asking about, but that is not what it says. It is on the date of approval of the new tree protection ordinance into law, or March 17th, 2026, whichever shall be sooner.
Thank you for that clarification. And yes, that would be my intent. I don't think we should go into a situation where Yeah, we would end up having a different set of standards and requirements if the TPO implementation date is different. It just makes it odd. So if in this current form, I'm not going to support this amendment, but I would, if the author would receive it, change the amendment so that it reflects the effective date of the TPO, not the approval date. So I don't know if the author has a response to that or not.
Actually, I was told that the TPO would start on January the 1st, if adopted.
Right. And so
Correct.
the way this is written and we approve it, if the TPO gets adopted, say June, then you create a 6-month period whereby this is expired, but the new TPO doesn't take effect
Got
until
it.
January 1. So
I
we
was talking to my co-mate.
Okay.
So
the suggestion that law had was to make it as the effective date, not the approval date.
correct. I like that.
So if
That's
you're
fine.
open to that, then I would ask that
I
you
am.
amend your amendment.
I am open to that for the effective date, not the adopted date.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So
So is there any, we can do this via unanimous consent, since it's a word change. Is there any objection to the amendment to change to effective date?
And Madam, Ms. Robinson, that is the correct terminology, right? We switch to the effective date and eliminate the approved into law.
If it is a desire to have the sunset date be the date that the new TPO is effective, rather than the date that the new TPO is approved into law, then that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
That is my intention.
Okay. Any objection to the amendment to change it to the effective date? Madam Clerk, please sound the count of unanimous consent.
14 yeas, 0 nays?
14 yeas, 0 nays. Okay, so we are still talking about these two amendments with that update to the wording. Councilmember Collins.
Oh, no, my question has been answered, but just for clarity for the community, if we can I'll let you guys guide it, but just restating it, because I know there's been a lot of conversation just happened right now. So for the community to understand what we just did would probably be better just if you're going to reread it out, Councilman Overstreet.
So what was actually stated was that once the TPO is adopted, it doesn't go into effect until January 1st, 2026. This legislation will stay in effect either until the sunset date, this amendment will stay in effect until either the sunset date, which is 3/17/26, or January 1st, 2026, whichever comes first, with an adoption of a TPO or without. So those are our dates, either January 1st, 2026 or March 17th, 2026, depending on where we are with our TPO adoption. Okay.
We're still on discussion on the motion to amend. Councilmember Shook.
Thank you. I want to commend my two intrepid colleagues for taking this on. This is territory from which very few people emerge unscathed. Ms. Collier Overstreet, I appreciate hearing from you. I'd like to ask your co-sponsor what his thoughts are about these amendments.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I'd like to ask Mr. Hillis what his thoughts are regarding
Councilmember Hillis,
this
would you like to respond?
Well, just to rehash a little bit first, this started out as a total exemption of city projects from the tree ordinance, which is what a majority of governments do for their safety and infrastructure projects. And then CDHS, we added back recompense, or CDHS added back recompense. I'm not on that committee. Recompense for the city projects. And then, as you know, Chairman Shook and FBC, I offered a substitute that also re-added back a maximum amount possible of replanting on each of these sites. And now today, the amendment is to add the two that brings more clarity around the quote-unquote inch per inch requirement, which is not really spelled out specifically in the tree ordinance as it stands today, but add some clarity there. And then the second one that we just heard from Councilman Overstreet about the dates. I'm hopeful that we can adopt some form of a new tree protection ordinance by either of these dates. So I'll be in support of the amendments.
Thank you. Nothing more.
Other discussion on the motion to amend? Hearing none, move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to amend 25-0-1129.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote closed. 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays, the motion carries. We are now on the motion to adopt as amended. Is there discussion on the main motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, move to vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt 24-0-1129 as amended.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Just one moment. Thirteen yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays, the motion to adopt as amended carries. Councilman Overstreet.
Yeah, just one more thing. I did want to talk about the two things that did not make it to the amendment page, the final amendment page. And I would like for Law to speak to the reason why we didn't add the no cap to the recompense, as well as, just a second, my cheat sheet has so many notes on it right now. Oh, the no re-permitting project. Please explain why that would not have been a viable amendment.
Thank you. Amber A. Robinson, City of Atlanta, Department of Law. As it concerns the request that there not be a recompense cap, here, this being an exemption rather than an amendment to the tree protection ordinance as it stands today, as it's codified today, there is no policy change concerning the application of the recompense calculation. It is to be applied in accordance with the code as is currently applicable to the city, either for projects subject to federal consent decrees or other public projects. This is the same policy as is currently in the code. And as it relates to the re-permitting request, the exemption is to the process. It provides that while recompense and replantings shall still be effective in accordance with the code, that the permitting processes are what are being exempted in the main, and many of the projects that are to be subject to this exemption would be automatically excluded if the re-permitting prohibition were to be added, thereby negating the purpose of the exemption ordinance.
Thank you, and I'm going to have conversations with anyone interested in speaking about that afterwards. So thank you for that clarification, and I yield.
Councilman Hillis.
Make a motion to send to the mayor's office post haste.
There's a motion by Councilman Hillis to send this item to the mayor's office post haste, seconded by Councilman Juan. Is there any discussion on the motion to move post haste? We do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to move post haste.
13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays, the motion carries. Chair Shook.
Thank you. We have a resolution 25R32222, This is a resolution by Shook as substituted by FEC, requesting that the mayor takes into consideration and funds priorities that the Atlanta City Council recommends be included in the FY26 budget. And for other purposes, I would like to move to bring forward a substitute that updates the document.
Actually, can I ask you to make a motion to adopt first and then a motion to bring forth the substitute, because it came out of committee without a recommendation?
Motion to adopt.
There's a motion to adopt this item by Councilmember Shook, seconded by Councilmember Wan. Now we'll move to discussion on the motion to adopt. Councilmember Shook.
Motion to bring forward substitute.
There's a motion to bring forth the substitute by Councilmember Shook, seconded by Councilmember Wan. Any discussion on the motion to bring forth the substitute? We do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count. Unanimous consent on the motion to bring forth the substitute.
13 yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to bring forth the substitute carries. We're now back to the motion to adopt as substituted. Any discussion on the motion to adopt this item as substituted? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt 25R3222 as substituted.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Thirteen yeas, 0 nays.
13 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt as substitute carries.
Finally, pulled off consent by Mr. Wan was 25R3223, otherwise known as item 14 on page 12. This is a resolution by Westmoreland, Bakhtiari, Dozier, and Winston authorizing a donation to the Atlanta Volunteer Lawyers Foundation pursuant to the section of the charter listed here to continue support for that organization's access to legal counsel program that provides eviction defense services to eligible City of Atlanta residents, authorizing the mayor as designee to enter into any necessary agreements to effectuate the donation, to authorize the CFO to make the donation authorized hereby from the council listed herein and for other purposes.
There's a motion to adopt coming out of committee 25R-3223. Is there any discussion on this item? Councilmember Wan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, we are working with the administration on this and need a little bit more time, so I'm going to move to table.
There's a motion by Councilmember Wan to hold in the breast of council, I believe. To hold in the breast of council, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari. This is not debatable, so we'll move directly to a vote. Majority vote of ayes will hold in the breast of council. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to hold in the breast of council.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? The vote's closed. 15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to hold the breast of council carries.
That completes our report.
Councilor Westmoreland?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just, I don't know if this is a vote explanation comment or not.
We'll count it as such.
Thank you. Voted yes, look forward to, I think we heard an incredibly compelling case in public comment today about the value of the right to counsel for someone faced with an eviction. And so I look forward to receiving the information that has been requested on January 22nd and February 25th as it relates to the Housing Trust Fund so that this paper can move forward along with other vitally important initiatives to support housing efforts in the city.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to the Committee on Council. Chair Collins.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one item on the agenda for today. It is item 25-C-0033H, a communication from council members Jason Winston, District 1, Amir Faruqi, District 2, Byron Amos, District 3, Jason Dozier, District 4, and Michael Julian Bond, Post 1 at large, appointing Mr. Philip Perry to serve as a member of the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and this appointment is for the term of 2 years.
There's a motion coming out of committee to adopt 25C0033. It does not need a second. Any discussion on the motion to adopt this item? It's communication, so we do this via unanimous consent. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to adopt this item.
15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt this item carries.
Great, thank you, and that's the end of our report.
Thank you. Next up will be the Zoning Committee, Chair Westmoreland. Without objection, we can come back to the zoning report. Any objection? So next we'll take up Public Safety Legal Administration, Chair Boone.
Thank you, Mr. President. We do not have a report today.
Thank you. Next up will be City Utilities Committee, Chair Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon. Please turn to page 63 of your full council agenda for the Standing Committee report on the City Utilities Committee for item number 1. The 25C0040, item number 1, page 63. A communication from Danielle Hampton, Chair, Audit Committee, submitting the performance audit report, controls over fuel consumption. Motion is to accept and file.
Motion coming out of committee to accept and file 25C-0040. It does not need a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to accept and file this item? Hearing none, we move to a vote. We can do this via unanimous consent. Without objection, any objection, the motion to accept and file this item. Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent.
15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. Motion to accept and file carries.
That ends my report. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Give us just a moment. We'll go back to the zoning committee.
Council President, just correcting the last vote, Westmoreland was off the floor, though that's 14 yeas.
14 yeas, 0 nays on the previous vote to accept and file for unanimous consent. We will go ahead and move to personal papers, and we'll come back to the zoning committee without objection. We have one immediate consideration paper today. Councilmember Bond, I would invite you forward for immediate consideration paper.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I'd actually like to ask for other signatures for this legislation. I didn't get a chance to pass it around. It is ELMS number 37624, a resolution by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond urging the United States Department of Agriculture to reinstate canceled local food programs and for other purposes. Whereas access to nutritious, affordable, and locally sourced food is essential for the health and well-being of residents in the state of Georgia and the city of Atlanta. Whereas local food programs funded and supported by the United States Department of Agriculture, the USDA, have historically played a critical role in addressing food insecurity, supporting local farmers, and strengthening communities-based food systems in Atlanta. And whereas the recent cancellation of certain USDA-funded local food programs has created significant challenges for vulnerable populations who rely on these initiatives, as well as for small-scale farmers and food producers to participate in them. Whereas the reinstatement of these local food programs would align with the City of Atlanta's goals to promote equity, public health, and economic opportunity for all residents. Whereas the Atlanta City Council recognizes the importance of advocating for policies and programs that uplift and support the needs of our communities. Whereas, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Atlanta, Georgia, that the Atlanta City Council hereby urges the United States Department of Agriculture to reinstate the canceled local food programs to ensure equitable access to nutritious food to support the resilience of local food systems. Be it further resolved that the Atlanta City Council and the City of Atlanta reaffirms its commitment to addressing food insecurity and promoting sustainable agricultural practices through advocacy, partnerships, and local initiatives. Be it finally resolved that the final approval of this resolution, the municipal clerk shall cause a copy to be transmitted to the Governor of Georgia, the Georgia State Legislature, the President of the United States, the Secretary of Agriculture, and all members of Congress. I'd like to move approval.
There's a motion by Councilmember Bond to adopt ELMS 37624. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Lewis. So let me just ask who would like their name added to this, and we'll do this in one quick amendment. Who would like their name added? Councilmember Lewis, Councilmember Bakhtiari, Councilmember Wan, Councilmember Dozier, Councilmember Amos, Councilmember Faroki, Councilmember Winston, Councilmember Hillis, Councilmember Boone, Councilmember, all of council. So we've got all of council to be added. Councilmember Bond, can I ask you to motion to amend that with all signatures?
Motion to amend.
Motion to amend, seconded by Councilor Bakhtiari. In discussion, we'll do this unanimous consent. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to amend.
15 yeas, 0 nays.
15 yeas, 0 nays. It's now back to the motion to adopt. Any discussion on the motion to adopt this item as amended? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Madam Clerk, please open the vote on the motion to adopt ELMS 37624 as amended.
Very nice.
The vote is open. Will everyone please vote? Will everyone please vote? Will everyone please vote? The vote is closed. Mr. Bond is yes.
I'm a yay.
This was 14 yeas, 0 nays.
14 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt is amended. Carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you. We'll go back for a moment to the zoning report. Chair Westmoreland.
We have no report.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We will then proceed on with personal papers for referral. I don't believe there are any others for immediate consideration, so we'll go to those for referral. First up is Councilmember Amos.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, AMS ID 37539, an ordinance by Councilmember Byron D. Amos waiving Article 10, Division 4 of the Procurement Code and Real Estate Code of the City of Atlanta, Georgia Code of Ordinance to authorize the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to execute a contract with Global Travel Investment Limited to enable Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport to serve as the host of the Air Service World Congress 2025 in an amount not to exceed $515,000 to be paid for conference-related costs. All contracted work shall be charged to and paid from account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
ALMS ID 37539 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
ALMS ID 37582, a resolution by Councilmember Byron D. Amos, authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute a reimbursement agreement for FC-8088 Game Lounge at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport with Sky Gamers Atlanta JV on behalf of the Department of Aviation for costs associated with the relocation and design of the leased premises in an amount not to exceed $863,058.55, all funds to be charged to and paid from account number listed herein for other purposes.
Items ID 37582 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Bakhtiari.
Thank you, Council President. Elms ID 37620, an ordinance by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari to waive Section 15-07.006 of the Land Subdivision Ordinance of the City of Atlanta for the purposes of facilitating an acknowledgement of 2856 Tupelo Street Southeast as two separate lots substantially consistent with the historic configuration and prevailing plat pattern and for other purposes.
Items ID 37620 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
Thank you. That concludes my personal papers.
Councilmember Bond. Councilmember Bond.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. I have Elms ID number 37638, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond, an ordinance to amend Chapter 10 of the City of Atlanta's Code of Ordinances to permit restaurants licensed for sale of alcohol for consumption on premises to secure additional and separate licenses for the retail sale of malt beverages / beer and or wine for off-premises consumption, to provide that any restaurants choosing to apply for and secure separate licenses for the retail sale of malt beverages, beer and wine for off-premises consumption shall meet the qualifications and requirements for such package sales licenses, including the distance requirements and the payment for all applicable license fees, in addition to meeting the qualifications and requirements for license to sell alcohol for premises consumption as a retail restaurant, and where there shall be any conflict between such qualifications and requirements, the more stringent shall control, and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37638 will be referred to the PSLA Committee.
Okay. Next, we have Elms ID 37580, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta to execute a ground lease agreement with Partners for Home for property located at 405 Cooper Street Southwest, Atlanta 30312, Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia, tax parcel ID number listed, property for lease term not to exceed 20 years, to be used to develop quick delivery housing on public land as a part of the City of Atlanta's Rapid Housing Initiative, waiving the competitive procurement provisions contained in Article 10, Procurement and Real Estate Code for the City of Atlanta ordinances and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37580 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
We have Elms ID number 37598, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to create the Affordable Workforce Housing in lieu fee trust fund for the purpose of anticipating and appropriating the proceeds of in lieu fees and administrative cost revenues generated in lieu of fees and administrative costs paid pursuant to the city's various affordable workforce housing programs, to apply these funds towards the production and preservation of affordable workforce housing citywide and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37598 will be referred to the FEC.
Have Elms ID number 37600, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond to amend the 1982 Atlanta zoning ordinance as amended City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances, Part 16 zoning, so as to direct in lieu fees paid in according with the requirements of Chapter 36A Affordable Workforce Housing Beltline Overlay District, Chapter 37 West Side Affordable Workforce Housing District, and Chapter 41 West Side Park Affordable Workforce Housing Overlay District into a consolidated trust fund to support the production and preservation of affordable housing and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37600 will be referred to the Zoning Committee.
Have Elms ID number 376110, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond and Liliana Bakhtiari, authorizing the mayor's office or his designee on behalf of the City of Atlanta's Department of Parks and Recreation to amend the operating and lease agreement between the City of Atlanta and the East Atlanta Kids Club Incorporated, and to exercise the second of two one-year renewal options commencing on April the 5th, 2025, and ending on April the 4th, 2026, to allow East Atlanta Kids Club Incorporated to continue maintaining, operating, and providing programming at the Brownwood Park and Recreation Center and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37610 will be referred to the CDHS Committee.
Have Elms ID number 37596, an ordinance by Councilmember Michael Julian Bond authorizing the Chief Financial Officer to create the Midtown Affordable Workforce Housing in lieu fee trust fund for the purpose of anticipating and appropriating the proceeds of the in lieu fees and administrative costs paid pursuant to the Affordable Housing Density Bonus Program provided in SPI 16 Midtown Special Public Interest District, to apply these funds toward the production and preservation of affordable workforce housing in the Midtown neighborhood and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37596 will be referred to the FEC.
I have Elms ID number 37593. Pursuant ordinance 19-01156 and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37639 will be referred to the FEC.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Boone.
Thank you, Mr. President. Elms ID number 37636, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea Boone to authorize the City of Atlanta to accept donations for the purpose of supporting the Atlanta Commission on Women, community initiatives, and events through December 31st, 2025, to authorize all donations to be deposited into the Atlanta Commission on Women trust account listed and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37636 will be referred to the CDHS.
Elms ID number 37581, an ordinance by Councilmember Andrea Boone authorizing the mayor or his designee on behalf of the Department of City of Planning to amend Special Procurement Agreement SPS DCP 2211-1230158 short-term rental software with Gratius SaaS LLC to add 2 one-year renewal terms in an amount not to exceed $194,591.00. All contracted work to be charged to and paid from the account listed herein, to waive certain provisions of the City of Atlanta Procurement Code and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37581 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
ILMS ID number 37635, ordinance by Councilmember Andrea Boone, Dustin Hillis, Michael Julian Bond, to authorize the mayor on behalf of the City of Atlanta to execute a collective bargaining agreement with the Local 134 International Association of Firefighters, IAFF, in accordance with Section 78-36 of the City of Atlanta Code of Ordinances and the State Firefighters Mediation Act, OCGCA 25-5-1, for a term not to exceed 1 year and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37635 will be referred to the FEC.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilmember Collins.
Thank you all so much. Wanting to read ELMS ID 37574, which is an ordinance to waive Chapter 2, Article 9, Division 1, Section 2-910 of grant applications to retroactively authorize and ratify the City of Atlanta's submission of the grant application to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for the fiscal year of 2025 for the Historic Preservation Fund grant on behalf of the Department of City Planning in the amount not to exceed $25,000.00 in order to identify and preserve the legacy of African American civil rights leaders and other purposes.
Elms ID 37574 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
Great, thank you. Second, ELMS ID 37584, a resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement to accept an in-kind donation of services and materials from the Georgia Power Company on behalf of the Mayor's Office of Sustainability and Resilience and the Department of Enterprise and Asset Management to conduct a building audit and implement AeroSeal HVAC sealing technology for municipal buildings in an amount not to exceed $142,500.00 and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37584 will be referred to the City Utilities Committee.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. President. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Dozier.
Thank you, Mr. President. I only have one item for today. Is ELMS number 37626. An ordinance by Councilmember Jason Dozier. I'm sorry, correction. This will need to amend in the actual caption, but an ordinance by Councilmember Jason Dozier requesting the mayor or his designee to install no parking signs to restrict parking on both sides of Ogden Street Southwest from Atlanta Student Movement Boulevard to its dead end to waive City Code Section 150-92 of the Atlanta City Code of Ordinances and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37626 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Faroki.
All right, ELMS number 37631, a resolution by Councilmember Amir Faroki requesting the mayor or his designee install an always stop at the intersection of 9th Street Northeast and Taft Avenue Northeast and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37631 will be referred to the Transportation Committee.
ELMS ID 37606, An ordinance by council members Faruqi, Winston, Dozier to amend section 146-26H of the Code of Ordinances for the City of Atlanta so as to provide for an ad valorem tax levy on property located within the Atlanta Stitch Special Service District and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37606 will be referred to the FEC.
Elms ID 37607, an ordinance by council members Faruqi, Dozier, and Winston, authorizing the City of Atlanta, the Invest Atlanta, the Atlanta Urban Redevelopment Agency, and the Downtown Atlanta Community Improvement District, together with the Atlanta Downtown Improvement District, Inc., collectively ADID, to proceed with the implementation of the Stitch project within the boundaries of the Atlanta Stitch Special Service District, providing for definitions, authorizing and approving the financing of the project by ORA and ADID, whether directly or indirectly as necessary or appropriate, authorizing the preparation, use, and distribution, as the case may be, of an intergovernmental agreement between and among the city, Invest Atlanta, ORA, and ADID, among other documents and agreements in connection therewith, providing for parameters for said financing and for other related matters, providing for severability, and providing for other purposes.
Elms ID 37607 will be referred to the FEC.
And then finally, Elms ID 37604, an ordinance by Councilmember Amir Faruqi creating the Stitch Special Services District, designating the boundaries of such district, providing for definitions and for other purposes. And sorry, that's an ordinance by Councilmembers Faruqi, Dozier, and Winston.
Elms ID 37604 will be referred to the FEC.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Hillis.
Elms ID 37592, a resolution by Councilmember Dustin Hillis authorizing the mayor and his designee to execute sole source agreement number listed, Foxborough upgrade with Schneider Electric Systems USA, Inc., pursuant to Section 2-1191 of the Atlanta City Code on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management for a term of 3 years with 2 one-year renewal options and an amount not to exceed $4,167,355.00, subject to and expressly contingent upon adoption of the fiscal years 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, and 2030 budgets. All contracted work shall be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37592 will be referred to the FEC.
Elms number 37454, an ordinance by council members Dustin Hillis, Jason Winston, Ishay Collins, Antonio Lewis, Andrea Boone, Howard Shook, Liliana Bakhtiari, Jason Dozier, Byron Amos, Amir Faruqi, Matt Westmoreland, and Michael Julian Bond to amend the 1982 Atlanta zoning ordinance as amended by amending Chapter 25, special permits, to add a special use permit requirement to allow a holder of a state low THC oil and product dispensing license to operate within a 1,000-foot radius of a covered entity pursuant to OCGA 16-12-215 to set forth certain requirements for said special use permit and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37454 will be referred to the zoning committee.
Completes my items.
Those at 545. He has 454 on his sheet. It has 545 on ours. Correction, Elms ID 37545 will be referred to the zoning committee. Councilor Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. President. The resolution, Elms ID 37633, a resolution by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, a resolution to establish the Merrill M. Davis Legacy Commission to honor his contributions as a faith leader and as a community advocate.
Elms ID 37633 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
Elms ID 37630, a resolution by Councilmember Antonio Lewis, a resolution to establish the Maurice Stone Davis Legacy Commission to honor his contributions to the community as a business owner and a community leader and for other purposes. Whereas Maurice Stone Davis has been a dedicated and entrepreneur and an owner of a long-standing tire shop.
Councilor Lewis, you don't have to read the whereas, but you'd like to?
Yes,
Your
I'd like
purview?
to.
Go ahead.
I think the family is an outstanding man in our city. Whereas Maurice Stone Davis has been a dedicated entrepreneur and an owner of a long-standing tire shop, providing essential services to the community and for supporting economic growth in District 12. And whereas through his tire shop, Maurice Stone Davis has created employment opportunities, mentored young entrepreneurs, and demonstrated a commitment to uplifting local businesses and families in Atlanta. And whereas his business not only served as a vital resource for vehicle maintenance, but also as a gathering place that fosters community engagement and support. Thank you, Mr. President.
Elms ID 37630 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
Elms ID 37627, a resolution signed by Councilmember Jason Dozier, signed by Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari, a resolution by Councilmember Antonio Lewis calling for the initiation of a planning for staged withdrawal of detained people housed at Atlanta City Detention Center under the custody of Fulton County Sheriff pursuant to relevant clauses of the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Atlanta, the Fulton County Sheriff, and Fulton County, and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37627 will be referred to the Public Safety and Legal Administration Committee. Councilmember Shook.
Thank you. I have a plethora of personal papers. Elms 37542 is a resolution by Shook reauthorizing the reemployment of city retiree Jacqueline Reagan in the position of executive assistant in the city auditor's office pursuant to the charter section listed here for a period not to exceed 130 business days, compensation being charged to and paid from, et cetera, in an amount not to exceed $36,400.
Elms ID 37542 will be referred to the FEC.
Elms 37543 is a resolution by Shook authorizing the CFO to refund customers for overpayments to water and sewer accounts in the amount of blank, all funds to be charged to and paid from, et cetera.
Elms ID 37543 will be referred to the FEC.
Elms 37544 is a resolution by Shook authorizing the Commissioner of Watershed Management to adjust water and sewer service charges on certain customer accounts in accordance with the code section listed here in the amount of blank.
Elms ID 37544 will be referred to the FEC.
Elms 37625 is an ordinance by Shook amending the code section listed here so as to repeal the exemption from the distance requirements between businesses seeking licenses to sell alcoholic beverages for consumption on the premises on Peachtree Road and residents, schools, churches, libraries, parks, and other places, and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37625 will be referred to the PSLA committee.
Thank you. Elms 37546, ordinance by Shook, waiving the competitive source selection provisions contained in the code section indicated to ratify services rendered in connection with the co-op agreement, number of which is listed. This would be wireless voice data services with T-Mobile USA, Inc., and authorize the mayor as designee to execute the Fifth Amendment to the agreement on behalf of AIM to extend the term on a month-to-month basis for a period not to exceed 6 months, retroactively from the date listed through the date listed in an amount not to exceed $652,254 for a further period not to exceed 6 months, effective July 1 of this year through December 31st of this year, contingent upon the renewal of the underlying state contract in an amount not to exceed $652,254, all contracted work being charged to and paid from, et cetera.
Elms ID 37546 will be referred to the FEC.
Elms 37547 is an ordinance by Shook waiving the competitive source selection provisions contained in the listed section of the City Code, to ratify services rendered in connection with the co-op agreement, number of which is listed, wireless communication services, voice and data services with Verizon Wireless Services, LLC, to authorize the mayor to execute the Fifth Amendment to the agreement on behalf of AIM to extend the term on a month-to-month basis, not to exceed 6 months, retroactively effective from Jan 1 of this year through June 30th of this year, in an amount not to exceed $2,202,619.55 for a further period not to exceed 6 months, effective July 1 of this year through December 31st of this year, contingent upon the renewal of the underlying state contract in an amount not to exceed $2,202,619.55, all contracted work being charged to and paid from, et cetera.
Elms ID 37547 will be referred to the FEC.
And lastly, Elms 37603, resolution by Shook, authorizing the mayor as designee to execute special procurement agreement, the number of which is listed, occupation tax recovery services with blank on behalf of Department of Finance pursuant to the City Code section listed here for a term of 5 years with 2 one-year renewal options, all contracted work to be charged to and paid from the recovered proceeds and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37603 will be referred to the FEC.
That is all.
Thank you. Councilor Juan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Elms 37617, a resolution by council members Juan, Bakhtiari, Westmoreland, Boone, Winston, Dozier, Hillis, Bond, Collins, Overstreet, and Norwood to authorize additional funding for the initiative established under 23R 4453 in support of place-based street outreach and rehousing through in-town cares and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37617 will be referred to the CDHS committee.
Elms 37637, an ordinance by council members Alex Juan, Dustin Hillis, and Jason Winston, authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement between the City of Atlanta and Live Thrive Atlanta, Inc. For the operation of multiple centers for hard to recycle materials, charm locations, to waive Article 10 of the City of Atlanta Procurement and Real Estate Code, to authorize annual payment in an amount not to exceed blank and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37637 will be referred to the City Utilities Committee.
All right, Elms 37628, an ordinance by council member Alex Juan authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $500.00 from the District 6 carry forward account to Midtown Neighbors Association to support the Midtown Garden Stroll pursuant to Section 6306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37628 will be referred to the FEC.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilmember Westmoreland and Guest.
Elms ID 37632, an ordinance by Westmoreland authorizing a donation amount not to exceed $1,500 to the Atlanta Technical College Foundation pursuant to 6306 of the Charter and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37632 will be referred to the FEC.
37629, Westmoreland donation not to exceed $3,000 to the Midtown Neighbors Association pursuant to 6306 of the City of Atlanta's Charter and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37629 will be referred to the FEC.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Winston.
Thank you, Council President. I have 3 items. The first is Elms 37634, an ordinance by Councilmember Winston authorizing a donation in an amount not to exceed $1,000.00 from the District 1 carry forward account to the South River Watershed Alliance pursuant to section number listed of the City of Atlanta's Charter and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37634 will be referred to the FEC.
Elms ID 37595, an ordinance by Councilmember Winston to rezone property located at 335 Sawtell Avenue from R4 Single Family Residential to MRC 1 Mixed Residential Commercial to modify the official zoning map and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37595 will be referred to the Zoning Committee.
Elms ID 37572, a resolution by council members Winston and Boone authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute the Second Amendment of the agreement listed maintenance agreement for permeable pavers with Mariani Enterprises doing business as Castro Landscape on behalf of the Department of Watershed Management to add funds to the agreement in an amount not to exceed $720,037.50 for paver restoration services. All contracted work will be charged to and paid from the fund, department, organization, and account numbers listed herein and for other purposes.
Elms ID 37572 will be referred to the City Utilities Committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have one more paper for immediate consideration. Councilmember Bond.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have Elms ID number 37623, signed by all members present. A resolution urging the United States Congress to replace the statue of Alexander Hamilton Stevens with a statue of President Jimmy Carter in the National Statuary Hall of the United States Capitol and for other purposes. Whereas Alexander Hamilton Stevens served as the Vice Presidency of the Confederate States of America, an entity that fought to preserve the institution of slavery, whereas it is important to acknowledge and learn from our history while also striving to represent values of equality, justice, and progress, whereas Jimmy Carter, as a native of Georgia, served as the 39th President of the United States and had dedicated his life to public service, humanitarian work, and to the promotion of peace and democracy, whereas President Carter's contributions include the Camp David Accords, efforts in global health and housing through the Carter Center, and his tireless advocacy for human rights, whereas President Carter's legacy reflects the values and aspirations of all people of Georgia and the United States as a whole. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Atlanta that the Atlanta City Council hereby urges the United States Congress that the statue of Alexander Hamilton Stevens in the National Statuary Hall at the U.S. Capitol be replaced with a statue that commemorates President Jimmy Carter. Be it further resolved that the Atlanta City Council also requests the Joint Committee on the Library of Congress to approve this replacement. Be it further resolved that the Atlanta City Council encourages other cities and counties within the state of Georgia to support the initiative by passing similar resolutions, hosting public discussions, and promoting awareness of President Carter's achievements and legacy. Be it finally resolved that following the approval of this resolution, the municipal clerk shall cause a copy to be transmitted to the Governor of Georgia, the Georgia State Legislature, the Georgia Congressional Delegation, and the Joint Committee on the Library of Congress. I'd like to move approval.
There's a motion to adopt Elms 37623 by Councilmember Bond. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Shook. Is there a discussion on the motion to adopt this item? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Is there any objection to the motion to adopt this item? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to adopt carries.
I'd like to move it to the mayor's office post haste.
There's a motion by Councilmember Bond, seconded by Councilmember Bakhtiari to move Elms 37623 to the mayor's office post haste. Is there any discussion on the motion to move post haste? We can do this via unanimous consent without objection. Any objection? Madam Clerk, please sound the count on unanimous consent on the motion to move post haste.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
11 yeas, 0 nays. The motion to move post haste carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Councilmember Bond. Next, we'll move to general remarks. I'd like to begin, and I want to protect their privacy, but our colleague Lamar Parks had a terrible loss today. And I just wanted to ask if we take a moment of silence for the family to recognize this moment. Thank you. We will keep the family in our prayers. Other general remarks. Hearing none, we will move to the final roll call. Madam Clerk.
Council President Doug Shipman.
Present.
Councilmember Michael Julian Bond. Here. Councilmember Matt Westmoreland, Post 2 at large. Councilmember Isha Collins, Post 3 at large. Councilmember Jason H. Winston, District 1. Here. Councilmember Aria Faroki, District 2. Councilmember Byron D. Amos, District 3. Councilmember Jason Dozier, District 4. Councilmember Liliana Bakhtiari, District 5. Councilmember Alex Wan, District 6. Councilmember Howard Shook, District 7. Councilmember Mary Norwood, District 8. Councilmember Dustin Hillis, District 9. Councilmember Andrea L. Boone, District 10. Councilmember Marcy Colley Overstreet, District 11. Councilmember Antonia Lewis, District 12.
Without objection, we will stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got 2 phones to go.